from another planet? Is Janet 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 from another planet?
The opinions you're about to hear on this show are strictly those of the panel.
The following program is rated TV MA LSV. It contains strong language, sexual situations, and violence. It is intended only for mature audiences.
To a girl, a guy, and a movie. Tonight, we discuss one of the better movies that's come out in the last few years. No! How dare my phone?
See, you did what I always do. See, I made sure it was off.
Rumble's going. Okay. Getting to my feet. For some of you guys know that I last couple of weeks been fighting an infection. Been doing some therapy to get myself better. Appreciate any prayers and positive thinking, etc., etc. Everything's been going like not clockwork, but I would say pretty damn good. And I'll just show you. This was my foot about 2 weeks ago. I don't know, this is kind of disgusting. You probably don't want to see it, but this is what I was fighting. I had about 150 bites of ants on my feet. Not cool. And then, let's see. Let me show. Today, come on, adjust, enhance.
Wow.
So I've got you can't really tell because of the contrast. I'm watching the monitors here, but I've got a vein poking up on my foot here. So it tells me that the swelling is mostly gone. Mostly. All right. Appreciate everybody being here tonight. Of course, we've got our series regulars, Flady One Gaming. Flady One, hello, sir. A Crafting Gamer. And Six Nation 31 Kings. And we also have a newcomer in our chat, Fuzzy Guy. How you doing, sir? Hail to you. Tonight, we discuss the wonderful movie, and I'm just going to preface this by saying I was impressed. We discussed a wonderful film called Nefarious, and I don't know if you have seen it yet. I don't know if you're aware this movie exists, but this is movie number 4 out of the Sean Patrick Flanery film celebration that Miss Janet from Another Planet wanted to illustrate because she has had a friendly social media relationship with this guy to where they've swapped emails, they've talked about things, they've been what? Go ahead.
His book.
And this movie looked really good, but when I started looking it up, I see nothing but hate. I see nothing but hatred for this film. And I'm like, this bears some investigation, because if you guys are followers of our friend, the Salty Cracker, all hail Salty Army. If you follow the Salty Cracker, you know that when you're getting flack, you're over the target. If you're doing something and nobody gives a shit, you're not pissing anybody off. You're not revealing the truth. You're not showing the light on the cockroaches.
Mm-hmm.
And along those lines, before we get too heavy in the discussion of this film, we had a situation happen over the holiday weekend in Ireland. The prayers in my household have been going to people of Ireland that are Irish, and the nationalist people that like Ireland to be Irish, to be the people that it's always been. I love you, you little inbreeding retarded alcoholics. I love you. You're part of my family. And I don't mean to say that in a horribly derogatory sense, but for crying out loud, like, if you've ever been there, you see that some of them have brittle bones, or they have like some serious birthing issues, etc. And they didn't need the global shitheads to shovel third world, turd world, as I call it, refugees with no skills into them in mass. And the young lady getting stabbed, the situations that happened in Ireland, that's all a symptom from when you have men abandoning their duty to protect their families and their loved ones and their homeland.
Mm-hmm.
Not that we aren't in remiss of that as well, but it really burns my ass to see somebody who's great like Conor McGregor say the truth and be like, this is war. And now Ireland and the EU and all those faggots and all those retards are out there saying, and by the way, we're not monetized, I don't give a shit. All those faggots and all those retards, all those useless cunts and cucks are going to run Conor McGregor through the ground.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't agree with that. The man said the truth. And if the people of the third world countries wanted to love their third world countries so much, they should have stayed there and used Western engineering and bettered it. They should have made their world better where they were at. But instead, they got to invade. They got to be the puppets of the globalist and NWO types. And, I know they're just pawns. I don't hate them personally, but as a group, I just can't stand them. If you want to call me an if you call me a nationalist, if you call me whatever, I don't give a shit. Because it doesn't matter to me what you think of me. What matters to me is how I go to bed every night. And if I say things like, I really like Western civilization, I like modern medicine, I like the ability to flush toilets, I like the fact if my wife gets attacked by a turd worlder here in America, in Texas, she has every right to defend herself into killing the individual trying to assault her. I love that. In another country, she'd be put to death. You know what? You don't like that? Go fuck yourself. Seriously, I don't give a shit about your opinion if you don't like that. So that's where we're at. Welcome to my channel. My best friend here, Janet from Another Planet, is with me tonight. Janet, how are you?
I'm good. And I agree with almost every single thing you said.
Almost.
About this
it's
country.
Okay. And that's why we're friends, because we don't agree with everything we say.
But I do believe that we should have the right to defend ourselves to the death if we have to. In our homes and on our person, in our car, wherever we're at. If we're at a restaurant, someone tries to kill me or attack me or my family, I should be able to defend myself and my family.
And I don't mean to be saying hot takes. I don't want to spit hot takes. I want to just say things that I know tonight when I go to bed. I'm not going to be plagued by, my conscience. Like, why did you have to sell it like that? Why did you have to sensationalize it? No, I want to be able to go to bed with that quiet little voice in my head of Jiminy Cricket, because every kid of the 70s would have a Jiminy Cricket like voice in their head telling them like, you did good today, Pinocchio, good job. And that's generally how I do go to bed. Like you do have like a little voice you try to be accountable to, like, hey, you're not upset that I was staring at that girl's boobs too long in the elevator, are you? No, that's pretty okay. I would like my kids to suckle on those too. You want to have normal things in your life.
Well, one thing I can say is that one thing that I don't like is when I go to other channels and you start liking them, okay, and you're in the chat a lot and you agree with what they say, and then one day they're monetized, right? They get monetized, and then you start noticing changes in the way they run everything. They stop having chats about things that they used to talk about. The real reason why you used to go to their channel is because they seemed free. They seemed happy and content to be voice their opinion about things they felt were wrong that was going on around them in their everyday life, right? And that's one of the reasons why you were so active in the chat and asking questions and saying things that you believed. And then all of a sudden they don't do that anymore, because now they're worried. Oh, I can't say this, I can't say that, because I was told if I say that word or this, that, and the other, I'll be demonetized. So the fact that you don't care about that, even though you are a monetized channel and you can make money, is good. I think it's a good thing, because I think that's what separates you from other people, is the fact that you do voice your conscience. And so do I. And that's why I tell people, I'm probably never going to make money doing this, but that's not why I'm doing it. I'm doing it because I want to be able to be myself. I want to be able to talk about what I think is true, my true self. And I can go to bed at night knowing, fuck them. I don't care. I really don't. What do I have to lose? They can't take anything from me, because I'm not going to let them.
I just want to,
and that's why I like you so much, because you're that way.
We just had an interesting situation happen, and I appreciate this very much. You did not have to do this, but wow, that's awesome. And LDG, he's a nice young man, and he's working on his own project. He's got a Prometheus project, which I think, let me get this guy's YouTube channel up. He's wanting to build a social media network, like with possibly the breadth of what Facebook is, and it would have like the functionality of Minds. And he has a really good head on his shoulders. He's a guru.
Mm-hmm.
He's a really good guru. I don't know how or what I said exactly to where like he decided to do this, but Mr. LDG, he just gifted 20 memberships, and he didn't have to do that. Like that was awesome.
That is really nice. Thank you so much.
I really appreciate it. And he also does Geeks Enjoy, and he has a Geeks Enjoy live streams and a few other channels. I'm trying to find his LDG of Geeks Enjoy. Hold on here.
So everybody in green are now
Members.
Hey, that is super cool how that works.
That is a
I can't
amazing.
see it on this thing in front of me on my computer, because on this program, but on my phone, I went to your chat, and wow, I can see it on there. That's really awesome.
Yeah, he didn't have to do that. I really appreciate that. That's. And let me get this guy's channel out there, because maybe he'll. If you have a problem with tech work, if you have something that you're looking for, I mean, this guy's got a lot of knowledge, and he might be able to help you out, even if it's just with something as simple as Word or Adobe or installing Linux on a partition drive. I want you guys to understand that this guy's got his channel, and it's crazy that he doesn't have more. Let's see. I thought I just posted it.
I just posted his channel in the chat.
There we go. Thank you, sir. You didn't have to do that. And I have a live stream scheduled. That address is what's going on. Check the description. Awesome. And he's got an upcoming live stream with some new promotional content. Let me get that up here. I know you guys are like, Bruce, we want to hear this movie. Hold on. This guy just did me a solid. Not is it a life-changing solid? No, but this is like, an attaboy. I want to at least scratch his back a wee bit. Come on.
Well, it's interesting that he did that. I mean, he must really like your channel.
He says a long-time listener, which appreciate that. And Kronos agrees. I mean, he rocks.
Hi, Kronos. I gotta say hi.
Should say hi to him. Low Specs here. Low Spec, how you liking that Half-Life 25th year anniversary update? Tree Rock Creations. Just LDG, free the net. Yeah, free the net, make Prometheus. Let's get rolling on that. I'd be happy to make that at least a browser, if not my OS. Cool. Janet, this movie kind of hit you a little different, didn't it?
Well, in the last couple years, I loved one of my family. I don't want to get emotional, but I might. So I hope everybody doesn't get upset with me. But it's been really hard. One of my nieces was molested, but more than molested. I mean, she was groomed for over almost, I guess, 2 years, but and forced to perform oral sex and other things for this person, a lot older, grown man that was her uncle. I didn't realize exactly in my mind, visualize the things that she went through. Okay, I didn't think about. I don't know. Maybe it's just because we ourselves don't put ourselves in that position to actually understand what the victims go through when it comes to sexual assault, molestation, things like that of a young child. We don't think about it that way. I don't know why. We just don't. Even though I believed her and I was there for her as much as I could be for her parents. But other people in my family didn't believe her. And that was really hard on me. It's still hard on me right now thinking about it. But today I got to go to court this morning and watch him be taken to go serve his 20 years that he pled out for 2 of the 4 counts that he was accused of because he didn't want to go to trial. So he took the coward's way out, basically. But he did it. And he'll be up for parole in 5 years. But it's a horrible thing that she went through. And when I watched this movie, it made me think about a lot of it. Because basically this story is about the decline of our world and what we allow to happen every day with the choices that we make that we say is freedom. Okay. And I believe in freedom. I believe a man and a woman should have the, equal rights to be able to both get the same job if they can do the job. I don't believe in lowering standards just for a fireman or a police officer or any of those things for a woman simply because you want women in the force. If someone's coming to my house to put out a fire and I'm unconscious in my bed and my other loved ones are unconscious because of smoke inhalation, I'd pray that a fireman that can come in and actually get us out, could lift us up and take us out, would be there to save us, not a woman that weighs 98 pounds that can't lift a person out of a bed. Okay. I wouldn't want that person to be a fireman. And I'm a woman. I was born a woman. So I have the right I could say that, without people saying, oh, she hates women or whatever. But that's how I believe. And this movie made me think about all those things because of all the choices that we make. The possibility of evil, and the possibility of goodness. That's what this whole movie, to me, was all about. And I had never seen it until last night when we watched it. And it was really hard to watch, especially knowing that that I was going to go to court the next morning. Hopefully that the person was going to show up And that was what I was worried about, that he was going to be he was just going to take off, and that we'd all be looking over our shoulder for who knows how long. Because he'd already threatened some people in my family that he was going to take him out. So, that's basically why this movie was very emotional for me to watch, forcing us to face our demons, basically.
And I think the way that it frames everything, the way the narrative gets framed, the conversation between the two lead actors, one of which being Patrick Flanery, and the other, I just, I'd never heard of this guy before, and I was very impressed with Jordan Belfi. Jordan Belfi is a very convincing man. He comes off as a very much, at the first, he's very not concerned about what's going on in the world. He doesn't care. He's just doing his job of, like, I get to classify this guy. Either he's going to be sane and he gets to go to the chair, or he's insane, we got to rehabilitate him to make him sane so we can give him the chair. And the conversations that develop, I mean, it took me back to 12 Angry Men, because it's a very limited engagement location as far as locations are concerned. It's very static, but the dynamic tension and the dynamic conversation that augments every aspect of their brief relationship in this movie absolutely thunders across the screen. And you gotta watch it. You have to actively watch it, and you'll be happy you do, because this isn't a movie you want to just cut coupons to or fold laundry to. This is a movie where you grab your kids, you face them to the TV, and watch this film.
Well, I wouldn't want a really young child to watch this movie.
I would say an 8-year-old.
Remember, in the opening scene, a gentleman commits suicide.
Yes.
So there's a lot of things in this movie that you're going to have to sit down and talk to your younger child.
Yeah.
I wouldn't under 13, I wouldn't recommend.
I was 8 years old watching stuff I probably shouldn't have.
And probably without your parents.
No, with my parents' guidance.
Okay.
But this is a film where, you're, as a responsible parent, you want to take a mature child, and I know that's an odd set of words to pair together, but put the kids in front of the TV and tell them this is not a movie that I normally watch. This is a movie that I'm watching because it will open your perceptions. And this movie does. And the way the two characters are so well structured, and the way that you see Nefarious open up to Dr. James Martin throughout their interactions, and then Nefarious gets in his head, and just all the shit that all the things that are discovered not long after the second act midpoint. And I'm talking about the book with all the photos. And you just realize just how evil and how depraved, because they're, at one point they're talking about global things like, the demons were doing drugs, and they made this crappy movie that everybody bought called The Last Temptation of Christ. And it's like, what? Wait, what? And you're kind of shocked. And then the next thing you know, the demon's asking, how do you feel about your second?
I know, but can I say something about
Go
this?
ahead.
What's in my head? Okay. It wasn't that long ago that The Passion of the Christ came out. Remember?
One of the best, probably the only Christian movie that I could watch.
Okay, but everybody made fun from Hollywood, made fun of Mel Gibson because he wanted to make this movie. Jim Caviezel was ostracized. All the terrible things that were coming out about the people in the movie, anyone who tried to produce the movie, anyone that was active in pushing the movie, were all, throttled basically by Hollywood, right? But look how many millions of people went to see it. There were lines everywhere I went. There were lines. And when I went to see it, I felt like a speck of dirt when I left. I felt like I didn't deserve to even breathe, that it was so touching to me. It was so moving to me because I am a believer. Okay. But all the people who don't believe, and I wonder how many people's eyes it opened that did watch it. But how long ago was that when that movie came out?
2004. I've got
Okay.
a funny story
Now
about
look at that.
movie,
I know, but
I'll-
look, from 2004 till 2023, how far we've gone down. It's okay to have sex, anal sex in front of kids in a gay parade. It's on video. I saw it everywhere. This video of these two guys having sex in the middle of the street and parents walking by holding candy and popcorn and stuff with their kids, holding their hand. Okay. That was in this short amount of time. That is seemingly okay. It's okay for during Obama when he was a senator in Illinois.
Piece of shit.
Okay, but listen, he voted yes that a young girl that's 13 years old that got pregnant by her bus driver had the permission to get an abortion without telling her parents.
Yep.
Okay. All these things, if you go and look every day in the newspaper and online, all the horrible things that are being done to kids, okay, to children, being told this, that, and the other. Why would a child grow up today thinking that there is a God? If you don't have a parent that teaches you right and wrong, how do they know what's right and what's wrong? How do they know what's evil and what's good? Or why would they even believe in evil? Evil's just a word, just like Nazi's a word, right? I mean, basically, that's what people say. People call me a Nazi just because I don't agree with them because I'm a Christian. But Nazi's thrown around like it's nothing,
It's a punctuation piece. What are you talking about, Janet?
So basically, this movie is trying to warn people that if we don't step back and look at what we're doing with our individual life and the choices that we're making right now as a person, as a human with a soul that was given the choice to either believe in God or not to believe in him, to serve him or not to serve him, which the angels didn't get. And that's basically my story. If you think about my story, Revelation, but it's about vampires and stuff. It's different. But the reason the devil makes vampires is to hurt God, because he's mad that he was made as a slave and he was forced to have to do what he was told by God and to serve God and to worship God. And then God all of a sudden makes Adam and Eve, and they can choose whether they want to be there or not be there. He didn't think that was right. So basically the same concept is what's in this book, The Nefarious Book. And what the movie was about was trying to show you that you can kill babies in the womb. You can do all these things. You can murder, maim, rape, drink, do drugs, do all these terrible things to the temple of God, which is your body, basically. And you have the right to do that because you have free will, right?
This is how I know.
Is that what we want to do? Is that how we want to live?
Yeah.
That's basically what this book or these books and this movie is trying to tell people, that to wake up and realize what you have and that you're destroying it right in front of yourself. And you look in the mirror, you're slowly destroying yourself and other people around you because you're not trying to learn anything. It's just satisfaction. What can I get right now? How can I get off today? How much money can I make? How much money can I steal? How much money I can spend on whatever perversion I can find, because I can snap my fingers, push a button, and I got whatever I want at my fingertips.
Yeah.
Basically, that's how easy it is.
This is how I know. This is exactly how I know this movie is over the target. When I go on to the referenced in portion and featured in portion on IMDb, IMDb absolutely loves the Fandom Menace because we are their favorite kid to bully at the beach.
Yeah.
We are the ones they want to kick sand in the face.
Mm-hmm.
They want to get rid of our channels, just because there's people in the Phantom Menace that get views, and I might not, but I don't care. This is how we know we're over the target. Whenever they have shit like this mentioned, they talk about Drunk 3PO and then Necrotic Mandalorian Backlash, and they talk about this movie's talked about in the episode. This movie's talked about in the episode. Movies talked about in the episode. You know, this one here, Young Ripa's chatting with Sean Patrick Flanery himself. This is the most important film I've ever made. That was an episode for him earlier this year. And this is how you know this movie's over the target, because this movie pissed off all of these people that want the same thing to continue on. They want to be pedophiles. They want to be in control. They want to be able to make your money just fall in their hands like manna from heaven.
Mm-hmm.
This is how we know the movie's over the target.
Yep.
Very, very happy to see all of these people just absolutely butthurt. This is one of my favorite episodes I've ever watched from Matt Walsh. The entertainment industry is collapsing. Thank God. This is Matt Walsh is not my favorite podcaster. I'm not saying he's bad. He's really good, but he's not my favorite. There's others out there that provide me with the information along with all the laughs that I want. Mainly, I'm looking at you, Normal World, because aside from me and Janet, I think those three have the best, cohesion.
Remember though, the
web.
first time you interviewed me, and you
Mhm.
had me as a guest on your channel, and then we talked a lot afterward.
Yep.
And we talked about things that I've done, in the movies, and different things that I've been in, promotional stuff I've been involved in, things like that.
Yeah.
And I told you that if we did it, that most of the stuff you probably wouldn't like. The movies I pick, because I like independent movies.
Sure.
And the reason I like it is because I think Hollywood is no longer what Hollywood used to be. And they pick and do movies that suck because they're pushing their agenda. They're not trying to entertain people anymore. It's not what, when a person sits down and writes a story, they're writing it from their imagination or a dream or a personal experience or something like that. Or they write a book or a short story or anything. It's a creative avenue for this person. And then they're trying to write it to where you, the reader, or the person who watches the movie, can visualize what they wanted to portray and wanted to tell the story, right? But today we have people in charge of Hollywood that think they're gods, or they think I don't know what they think, but they definitely don't think that you're smart enough to do anything on your own or read something and actually understand what they're saying, because basically they got to put everything down on paper for you so you'll understand their story and worship them and believe everything they tell you. You know what I mean? That type of thing. It's like they want to be your parent, okay? Because you're too stupid. You're too stupid to make decisions for yourself. So you have to listen to us, because we're going to tell you what the right way to do things. Because you can't do this, you can't do that. And they've made so many changes to the rules now that, if you're not black, you can't portray a black person. Even though you're light-skinned black, okay? You're not black enough. Or if you're blind, you can only be a blind person to play a blind person now in a movie. But what really kills me is they've made all these changes. If you have a no arm, you can only play a one-arm person. Only a one-arm person can play a one-arm person in a movie. All these things, except there's only one thing that they haven't changed that I've been researching and found out. Now, you'd think that only a woman should be able to play a woman, right?
Oh no.
No,
God.
a man. That's a biological man that has boobs, because he had a boob job, but he still has a penis, can play a woman. Why is that? See what I mean? They pick and choose what they feel is what you need to have. It's not what is the truth. It's what they feel is the truth at the moment. I don't know. It's bizarre, but I like independent movies, because an independent company has to struggle, like The Sound of Freedom, or like this movie, Nefarious.
Yeah.
Things like that. Good stories. There are so many good stories out there to be told, except they can't get Hollywood to let them put them out. They won't let you use their movie theaters. They won't let you use their production companies. They won't let you use the companies that put the make the posters and make the DVDs or whatever. And if they do find out that somebody like you is going to use that company, they'll blacklist them. They'll say, well, if you make that movie or if you support that, we're going to blacklist everybody involved, so you'll never get another job. So people are afraid to do anything. Actors are afraid to be in movies. Like Jim Caviezel had the guts to be in The Passion, even though he was threatened, said, you'll never work in another movie in Hollywood. And that's what they told him. They told Mel Gibson the same thing. Okay. They tell you either do what we say or you have no job. You get blackballed. And guess who one of the blackballers were? Famous producer that raped a bunch of women, went to prison for it. He was one of them. And we talked about him last week in the other movie that we did. How he bought the bar and how he pushed his weight around, that you either do what I say or you don't get the part. You know, that shit. Remember, we talked about that.
Yeah.
From the Boondock Saints. So
I was pretty impressed that he did all those things for Troy Duffy, but in the end, I don't think it really helped Troy Duffy out that much, because I think Troy Duffy didn't do exactly what he wanted, and therefore Weinstein yanked that rug out.
But see, Weinstein could tell that the script was freaking awesome. Okay. I'm not saying he wasn't talented when it came to picking and choosing what movies he'd produce. That's why he became a huge producer, because he did know what movies would make money. The fact is he got a big head, greedy, didn't give a shit about people. He got corrupt, right? So now he just says, well, I'm going to use my job and my might that I've gotten since I'm doing this now, and I'm going to get all the women I want. And if they want to be an actress, they better give me a blowjob, or they better do this, or they better do that, or they're not going to have a part. They're not going to get another movie. So lots and lots of women came forward. Once a couple brave women finally said, I can't do this anymore. I'm going to give up Hollywood because this person is a sick pig. Just like what I went through this morning. The person that was doing that wasn't just my niece. He'd molested more girls. Other girls, and another one came and testified, and she gave her testimony, and she did her letter where she got to read out how it's affected her life, things like that. And it's sad, because if the very first girl that he molested that they know of went and told the mother, and the mother just turned away and said, well, I don't believe her. So because she did that, he did it to other girls. See, that's what I'm talking about. That's what this movie is basically trying to tell you. If you see something, if you know something, or if you see evil, if you don't try to stop it, guess what? You might as well be the one doing it. You know what I mean? If you think about it. And that's what this guy was doing. Supposedly the demon was in this guy that was messed up, came from a bad childhood, because you don't really find out exactly what was going on. You just assume. So each of us that's watching it, it's all going to assume something a little different. We take little bits of things that we know about growing up, right? What we saw some of our friends go through. So we're thinking that's what that guy must have went through. He must have been beaten. His dad might have been an alcoholic. His mom might have been a lush, or abuser, where she starved him and made him go in a closet or whatever. We don't know. We just made it up in our mind to try to fit why this guy would be a killer. Why is he in prison? He killed a bunch of people. Could he possibly have been so messed up that a demon could take him over? But you think about it, we have like Ted Bundy, okay? We had the Green River Killer, killed 40, 50 women. And nobody cared. Nobody ran around and tried to find him because he was killing prostitutes. Who cares? They're trash.
No, they're trash. They're bottom tier.
But the thing is, they were daughters. They were sisters. They were mothers.
And nobody stood up for them.
No.
That's the sad part about it,
Nobody's standing up for kids or all people are fighting for the
You-
criminals. The criminals have more rights than we do.
Janet,
You can
if-
go to a store
if-
and steal $900 right off the shelf and walk out knowing no one's going to do shit. How can anyone agree with that crap? You might as well take everything out of every single store and go set it in the middle of the street, because that's how stupid it is.
it is. And
Okay.
it's just funny because we've allowed things to happen to this point. And it's funny for the fact that we thought we would never let us, or our parents would have their heads rotate off their shoulders if they ever saw the world that would ever do that. Here we are, we're the responsible ones. We keep letting it happen. Oh, well, it'll be like this tomorrow. It'll get better. Just vote. Just vote them out of power. It frustrates the shit out of me.
That's
And
what
then-
these books, I feel, from the very ending, when he's being interviewed by Glenn Beck, right? We had a movie with Glenn Close. Sorry, I said that, but with Glenn Beck, and he's talking about the importance he felt of why he needed to push this book, was to get people to open their eyes and realize that we have got to save our world from evil. Okay, to start helping the children, helping the homeless, helping everyone that needs help. I mean, if you are capable of making one meal a week and taking it to someone you know is hungry, why wouldn't you want to do that? But see, we have a government that used to let us do that years ago, where your church or your little group could do things and help others. But now you get sued. Let's say you took some food to somebody and someone got a stomach ache, when they say, oh, it had to have been that food they brought me. So now they're going to sue you and take your house because you made soup for a homeless person. See, they've put so many rules and regulations on everything that people can't even work. Your church can't even donate. Your church can't even help people. You can't even donate stuff to the animal shelter, because if that food makes a dog sick, they can sue you and take your house. The government has got so involved in everything. And this is not just in the United States. This isn't everywhere in the world. People are told, you can't do this, you can't do that, you can only do this. But the criminals can do anything they want. Okay. That's where we're messed up. We're starting to see how our choices have taken God out of everything. You can't say the Pledge of Allegiance because, it says in God, under God, stuff like that. Just they don't want God on our money, because it's supposed to be a separation of church and state. It's sad because we're letting it happen. We let them take God out of everything because we were willing to say, well, we shouldn't push our point of view on anyone else, but they're pushing their point of view on us every day.
Every day
Their point of view about how I have to accept that a gay person, okay, and I have gay friends. I have nothing wrong with it. Two grown men or two grown women want to be lovers. It's none of my business. They're adults. But when they start telling me I have to let a 13-year-old kid take hormones and cut his testicles off because his counselor told him at school that he wants to be a boy, that's bullshit. They're not even a psychotherapist, okay? 20 years ago, a psychotherapist could tell you, well, you have gender dysphoria. So you look in the mirror and you think you're seeing the wrong sex because you feel in your soul or in your being that you should be a man when you're seeing a woman in there. So you got a problem. So what do? They make that person as an adult live as the opposite sex for so many years. And then they start saying, okay, since you did it for 2 years, we're going to now put you on hormones, or we're going to do this, we're going to do that, all through psychotherapy with not a school counselor. Okay. So all this stuff is coming out in this book that they made into a movie. And it starts out with the guy jumping out the window, committing suicide. And then all of a sudden you see a brand new psychotherapist going in, and we find out after he's gone through all the rigmarole to make sure he's not trying to bring anything in, weapons or whatever, into the prison, that he's going to do a evaluation on this one guy that's supposed to be put to death for murder, right? And this guy, the warden's telling him, oh, other people, they haven't been able to do it, that he's gotten away with it over and over again about not being executed simply because he gets the therapist to agree with him, because he talks him into it because he's so good at it. So that whole aspect of sitting there thinking, is that guy really possessed by a demon, or is he just a real nutcase that's really good at talking people that have been trained for so many years to be able to tell whether that person is a nutcase or they really believe that they're a demon? You see what I mean?
Mhm.
So that whole concept makes you have to listen to what they're talking about. But what scared me and made it a very good thriller was the fact that he knew so much about this guy when there's no way he could have known all these things, because he didn't know he was the one that was supposed to show up. But all of a sudden he shows up and he knows that his wife or his girlfriend's about to go get an abortion. Things like that. That's what made it creepy. That's what made you start thinking about, could it be possible that someone could be possessed and cause them to do certain things against their will? You know what I mean? Just think about it. It's like I was talking about earlier. Someone, an older person, took advantage of a younger girl and got her to perform oral sex on him. Okay. Did he grab her by the head and force her to do it? She didn't scream. No one else in the house heard her screaming and fighting for herself. She did it by manipulation because she was groomed into doing it over time. Different things that they said, things that they did to make this person feel like they had to do it, even though they weren't tied up and forced, right?
Mhm.
So why is that any different than what supposedly this person murdered these people because they thought they had a demon in them? What's the difference between those things? See, it makes you really think. And that's why I tell people you need to watch this movie, because if you're a believer or not a believer, it shouldn't matter. It's the whole idea of what this story is trying to tell you about society and whether or not people can be made or manipulated into doing things against their will. And I believe that you can be, because people do it every day. In almost every aspect of life, we're doing things every day that we wouldn't normally have done, like swipe left, swipe right on a dating app. You go out on a date and you're kissing and making out with somebody, and you go farther and farther, even though in your heart you're saying, I don't want to do this, but you still do it because you feel like you're going to be, they're going to make fun of you. They're going to be pointing the finger at you next week at school because you're chicken shit. You won't go through it. You won't smoke that cigarette. You won't smoke that joint. You won't shoot up, or you won't force yourself on that girl. You see what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Does any of this do you understand any of what I'm saying?
I understand everything you're saying here.
Okay, and that's what I'm talking about. That's what the whole concept to me, from me watching this movie, what it made me think about. Because that's what the demon is. The demon could be, to a person that's a non-believer, just like the person that was saying, the psychiatrist said, I'm an atheist. I don't believe in that stuff. Okay. But he was believing something. He was believing that something was there, that maybe there was demons, or entities of some sort that had taken him over, because he felt like it was in him now. But instead of letting it win, when he realized he could hear the voice and he was freaking out and he grabbed the gun and he was going to commit suicide himself, they stopped him, but not the way that we think. Because when he said that when they checked the gun, the bullet had been struck 3 times by the firing pin, but the bullet didn't shoot him. So is that divine intervention? And if you take the time, you can find all kinds of miracles on the web. We have it at our fingertips to research these things, to find out miracles that have happened in the world, unexplained, because people can't explain it. But I might say it's a miracle because I saw it happen in front of me, and I believe that an angel did it, because I'm a Christian. So I'm easier to believe that it was an angel that intervened, right? Or a
Correct.
demon that came in and did something horrible in front of me that I could see. But a person that's not a believer, that doesn't believe in that, would think it was some type of alien from outer space, or another dimension, that they fell into another dimension, or whatever it was. Somebody is going to believe something is some type of intervention that happened, depending on what your beliefs are. Just because you don't believe in God doesn't mean that you can't watch this movie and understand the story that this person's trying to convey about us becoming corrupt in humanity, against humanity, instead of letting children be children, things like that. To me, I just thought the story was phenomenal about getting that point across, even though I found lots of technical errors, little things like that, because that's what we're supposed to do when we watch a movie about lighting or whatever. I'm not that specific, I don't go that freaked out over it. But when it comes to the story, the actual story, I'll look at, well, this part in the script didn't seem right, or it didn't seem to be edited right, or the music was off, or things like that, technical things like that. I can talk about, but most of the time, I just like to try to understand the story and what the story was trying to tell me. What's the script trying to portray and get me to visualize from the way it was put out? And did the actors do a good job at making me see the story the way that I feel that the story was supposed to be told? Things like that. And that's how I look at it. So, not everybody's going to look at it that way, but that's how I look at it.
And worse.
But what did you feel like the story was trying to explain to you? This story that we watched last night.
I think the story is actually all the stuff which the Nefarious claims to be victory over, all the situations that are in the world where the demons are running loose, and it's not looking good for humanity. I think that's the main story. I think the secondary story is actually the prisoner with all the problems with his ankles and his epidermis, and I think with all the issues that he had, I think with all the problems that he was experiencing, and I might be pulling from some of the things that were kind of hinted at with the books, because it mentions that like he wasn't well himself, and he had kind of gone down. He for a demon to enter a spirit, you can't be fit, sound in mind. You have to be weak. Your barrier has to be permeable, and it got in, and he was able to have some small bits of lucidity where he realized what was going on. Things were not good, but he was basically a passenger.
Do you believe that a person that is not a Christian can be taken over by a demon?
It's easier when they're not a Christian, I think.
Okay, so why did you feel like Nefarious asked him to let him in?
I think that the Nefarious asked him to come in just for the fact that he was going to get in no matter what, but he wanted to have it all nice and to quote a really bad movie, all nice and smooth. Like he was going to get in no matter what, he felt, because the host body wasn't that strong. I honestly feel like the guy wasn't in the best shape. I feel like he kept seeing like no real avenue of exit, and here's this little voice, "Hey kid, hey, you need help? I can help you." And that's what happened. Even if you're an atheist, I think once you've been selected by one, it takes an act of Congress and a priest to get you out of it. And the problem that I keep seeing with the possession stories, usually it's somebody who has had faith before, but they fell out of it. They have their faith has taken a point to where it needs repaired. And I don't think it's really always that, I think people that don't have faith are probably the easiest targets because they don't value it. So okay, fine,
You
whatever.
know
There's
what?
freedom
You
there.
know what? I don't think that way. And the
You don't?
reason I
Okay.
don't think that way is because of this. A person who has no religion is already lost. So there's no challenge for the demon. You know what I mean? The demon is like, we already know where they're ending up. You see what I mean?
I honestly, I mean, if it was that easy,
I really believe it's that easy because you through your whole life now, only a person that's grown up somewhere in an island or in a very small little village or whatever
somebody
may
isolated.
ever be confronted with a choice of do you believe or not. You see what I mean?
Mhm.
A person today in this vast world of knowledge that we are surrounded by is bombarded with choices. Okay, so if you have a demon bouncing around out here wanting to do something or to draw more people in and get some more rahs down in hell from the devil saying, good job, guys, you're bringing them in like at record numbers or whatever. Okay, right?
Mhm.
Okay. Well, what do you think is going to get more points? You know, just like when we watch Constantine, right?
Mhm.
Boy, the devil himself was just chomping at the bit to come up there and just waiting for the blood to draw enough to drain out of him to take his soul himself to hell, right? Why did he want him so bad? Why did the devil himself want Constantine so bad?
He's a trophy.
That's why. Why? Because he was a Christian,
But
right?
but
And he
there's
was
still
earning it,
the
taking it.
numbers.
Yeah.
As much as like a demon might not want to possess a non-believer, um, what's worse, having to go to work and tell your boss like, yeah, we had 70 unbelievers, and because of the thing that happened in Fatima, pretty much we've lost them. They're all grown Catholic now.
But see, if you
And
could take a non-believer and envelop them, you know, step into their soul or whatever that they have, they just don't realize they have a soul. But every human born has a soul.
everyone has a soul.
That's and I know that's real because I've seen a documentary showing the moment of conception of an egg and a sperm, and it lights up. It's a burst of light.
Okay.
Okay.
I
And
just
to
I
me,
just feel
that's the light of our soul being created and being put in to start life. Okay, so you have that, and every person has it, whether they're a believer or not, in their mind or in their heart. They don't realize they have a soul. Okay, because they're not ever taught that there's more out there. Okay, so when you have that and the demon goes in, the demon can use you and push you this way or that way to do certain things. Now, if they can push you to become someone that people look up to, you know, and end up being a senator or governor or president or someone, you know, a king or whatever of another country, and you can get more people to follow you, worship you, and do what you ask, you know, like what happened in the when the 900 people drank the cyanide for their follower.
you're
Right?
talking about Jonestown now.
Yeah, Jonestown. But they used him. He used all those people for fame and fortune to feel worshipped, and he oohed and awed over it, you know, because he was corrupt. But he got all these people to believe him because he had a sharp whip. You know, he's like, wow, I can say this, that, and the other, and use scripture and get all these people to do exactly what I want. And he did. Got all these people to kill their own children and everything, and that's something they each have to face God and be judged over. At least that's how I believe. Okay, because I'm
Yeah,
a Christian.
I believe the real story of this movie is when Nefarious and the psychiatrist are talking about all the problems that have happened because of the negligence of good men. And I think that's the real story in this movie. I think the side story is just the little incidental that like, oh yeah, I might possess this little freak here, and you know, yeah, he says little things. I puppeteer him. He says things that scare the shit out of you. What do you think about your aborted child? You know, he just goes for the throat so many times. In this
Anything to
movie.
get him to lose his temper. Because when you're upset, when you're upset, you say things, you do things that you later on have to apologize for, especially if you really you feel guilty for it. A person who has no conscience, who doesn't give a crap, is not going to apologize, or is not going to really get that upset. He's going to say, F it, I don't care. I'll walk off. But this guy did have feelings for her. And once he started thinking about what Nefarious was saying to him about her about to go get this abortion, but if you go right now and you call her, you could stop it, because he knew he only had seconds. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. Nefarious knew that. Okay. And he was toying with him, made him think about it. And then when he did think about it, and he went through all that work to get to her on the phone, and it was too late. He was devastated by it, because he realized that, what him and his girlfriend decided to do was not the right choice. They could have done something more, because if you're going to have sex with somebody, you're running the risk of making a baby, making another life, bringing a life. See, you already have the knowledge of that. Yeah. From a teenager, that if you have sex with a woman as a guy, and you don't use safety, and she's not on the pill or any of these other ways to stop it, that you could bring another person into the world.
And that's the thing that kills me, because there's a CVS on every fucking corner. There's a way for you little shits to go and get a rubber. If you're going to sin, at least do yourself a favor and don't procreate, make more of yourself, but you're ill-prepared to face the world. But yet here you are being a father in 9 months, you little shit.
That whole scene was so intense. And once I read about Jordan Belfi, okay, the very first day of filming,
his wife's giving birth to a real kid,
to their first child. So he had emotional things going on in his life as a first-time father, and then have to do this whole scene as a character who was letting his girlfriend get an abortion because he didn't want to deal with it right now in his life. He was too busy. He had too many other things he had to do. He wasn't ready to get married or whatever. Okay. The thing is that almost every person I've ever talked to that's had a baby, it wasn't planned, even though they might have been married, or maybe they weren't, and they got married after the baby came. Things like that.
Angels notwithstanding, Jesus was largely an unplanned child. Okay. I just want to say that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. But see, that's what I'm talking about. It's things like that for some, it's the inconvenience to your life. Okay. So it's easy to just take a pill or go to the doctor, get rid of it, because it's just an it. See, they don't want to put an emphasis on it, that it's life. It's another life that has a soul. Okay. So they do that on purpose, because it makes you not feel guilty. And if you don't feel guilty, then you just keep going out and doing it. And guess what? That doctor just makes lots of money, because more and more people are coming in to take care of business. Because if they just wore a condom, or they just didn't have sex, they just waited until they were married, you wouldn't have that problem either. Because what I tell young people is that not to be a prude about it, but the thing is, a lot of feelings go along with making out. You know how you get butterflies in your stomach when you meet someone? I just made a video a couple of days ago and put it on there for Just Janet. And I said, do you know that tingly sensation you get when you first meet someone, and you're excited about it? That's your common sense leaving your body.
Okay. I thought that was going to be, this is going to hurt Pacific AIDS.
Well, no, the thing is that to me, it's a way of making you think about it. I want you to think a little bit about, why do you feel that way? It's because that is a chemical change in your body, because you're meeting someone for the first time, or you bump into them and you get that chemical exchange, of what life could be like with this person. This person makes you feel good about life, how exciting it is to be with this person. That is what God intended for you to have when you have a relationship with someone that you might want to spend the rest of your life with. Okay. Because if it was like this, every time you meet someone, why would anyone ever want to have children or fall in love? right? So you have to have something happen, a chemical reaction to something.
I want
That's
to
what
say
makes love.
the chill gamer, he makes this snarky comment, which is I love snark. Don't get me wrong. People look up to politicians. Yes, but at the same time, look at how many followers Taylor Swift has.
Mhm.
As much and it just made I just hurt myself saying that.
It's true though.
She,
But the only difference between Taylor Swift and any other pretty young girl walking down the street is that Taylor Swift can sing, and she had the right person to produce her and get her records. That's it. That's the only difference. If someone had taken Taylor Swift out of her crib and swapped her with another girl, Taylor Swift's life would have been totally different. That's how simple it is.
I don't want to. My brain's already going like in somewhere in Africa, and there's a little basket going upriver with a little child in it. Oh
Uh-huh.
God. Okay.
But
This
the whole
mo-
thing is that
this-
that the story between these two characters was to get you to really think about the choices that you're making in your life every day, and whether or not the choices you're making are the right ones, and for what reason. Are they for selfish reasons? Is all your choices in your life selfish, or are you trying to do it for other people too?
you already know the answer to my question on that. And generally, as much as I don't want to be selfish, I'm being selfish. And that's I think most of us will actually. I would have most of my friends come over on my side. I'm not saying my side versus another side, but most of my friends do try to do things the right way. But when it comes down to it, like, listen, I'm just trying to provide for my family, or I'm just trying to buy this house, or I need to pay my car note and my truck note. And they do things like that, and they make small what do they call it? Small constellations where they know they could do something differently. It might be a little harder, it might cost you another couple days in this paycheck, or it might be an extra 10 hours of work you don't want to do.
Mhm.
But instead we do something that in the short term it's not bad, in the long term probably could have done something better. Like most of us right now, I'm going to say, are probably underpaid, but most of us do not do the work to see if there's another vendor or employer out there that wants the services we have to better our immediate home and environment. Most of us are very comfortable, and we're not going to try to jump out of our current path until something literally hits the fan and destroys it. This
Yep.
this is this movie, it illustrates it on so many different levels, where you have the demon showing Belfi, and I forget the guy's name, it so many times
Dr.
where
Martin.
Dr. Martin is trying to just get a rationale, or just give me something so I can get the paperwork done, and either we can send you to the chair or we can go and rehabilitate you. And the demon just belts out some other jaw-dropping statement.
Mm.
And there's so many times where that happens, where you're not realizing the moves that had to be planned beforehand for that victory condition to be bragged about.
Mhm.
And that's where we're at right now. It is a war. It's a spiritual warfare, and we've already pretty much lost. We're not going to be able to save most of the people we care for. Saving ourselves spiritually is going to be an endeavor. And that's one thing this movie and the book that accompanies it hammers home relentlessly.
Mhm.
I'm very
But see, did
I
it turn you off at the very end when it was after they jump on him and they stop him from committing suicide, right?
yeah.
In that real intense scene, after you've seen them jerking around on the electric chair, because he told him it's going to take more than one try to get rid of this guy,
Yeah.
and he said all these things before, and then he's sitting there watching it. And I kept saying, don't go. I was telling myself, for him not to go to the execution, because as soon as his soul or the demon leaves that body, he's going to go into his body because he's there. And he told him, sure, come on in, even though the demon could go anywhere and go in his body, right? So I was emotional, and that's what I was thinking about, to protect himself from being taken in, because he said, sure, you can come in my body if that's what you want, agreeing with him, because he didn't believe in any of that stuff. So the fact that he felt like he had been taken over by him, and that he was trying to, when he was talking to Glenn Beck in this interview at the end of the movie, that he was trying to get people to see it the other way. He's wanting to see that it was a mistake, that you need to fight against these bad people and these bad choices, and to help save humanity. But a lot of people, from what I remember when the movie first came out, wasn't so much that the movie wasn't good. It was the fact that, it's a Christian movie. It's just trying to bash you if you're not a Christian. This is the kind of stuff that I heard about it. And then they also said, oh, well, Glenn Beck's in it, so that shows you how crappy it's going to be, stuff like that. So it was like, if you were a non-believer, they told you, don't go see it, because you're not going to like it. They didn't care whether or not, if you believed or not. Because to me, just because I'm a Christian isn't why I think the movie was good or why I believed in it. Because I'm trying to look at it as just being a movie. And you don't have to be someone who believes in Jesus. You could be a Muslim, you could be a Buddhist, or an atheist, or anything, I think, and watch this movie and still believe that humanity needs to save itself from corruption,
Good luck.
from what we're doing to our societies, because our children are our future. And if we're not letting children be born, or corrupting kids to become criminals, to where we have no society, where everybody just, it's like, what was in that movie again, where people could kill everybody and do whatever they wanted in one night? Yeah, The Purge. Basically, do you think society could survive if the purge was every day?
The society wouldn't survive after the second year. It wouldn't. Like there would be, well, we're going to have purge week. And then, if we survive purge week, then the third year, we're going into purge month. All of March is going to be purge, all 31 days, purge month. And you just have that. It would constantly devolve.
But see, that's what's happening right now. If you look around, look at some of these cities that were burned, looted, people were being attacked in the streets. It's just utter chaos, and the cops were told to stand down and stuff. How long would our society survive if that happens in every single town in the world?
Not long. Not long at all.
Who is going to survive? Do you think you will survive?
Probably not. As much as I'd like to think I would. Nope. Because I'm one person, and I don't have a cave to live in. I live in the middle of a city.
I think I would survive for a while because of where I live now.
Yeah.
And the skills that I have, I think I could survive. But I know I couldn't do it by myself. Nope. So that's why I tell people all the time, if you're going to do it, you have to have a team. You have to have people, because you have to sleep. Who's going to protect you and your home and your family while you're sleeping? You got to have someone you trust that's not going to cut your throat while you're sleeping and take your stuff. So we have to work together with other people and build trust to be able to survive when this is going to be happening on a daily basis. So who are you going to want in your group? You're going to want other people that believe the same way as you, that we have to fight for our rights as humans, and have a society where everyone can be treated a certain way and have trust. You got to have trust. You got to have caring. You got to have people that actually give a crap whether you're alive tomorrow, for society to survive. Because without, the fact that we've evolved to where we are today is a miracle in itself. You got to remember when we first
evolved.
Yeah. So we are going backward now. we've went full circle, and now we're getting ready to start at the beginning again, where we'll have nothing. We'll have nothing but utter chaos. Everybody's killing each other. There'll be no jobs. There'll be no grocery stores. There'll be no electricity. There'll be nothing. Or be basically caveman-like again, where everybody just takes what they want and kills whoever they don't like. Just get rid of them. Let's take care of everyone. And, it's going to be my kingdom. I'm going to be the king, and these are going to be all my wives, And if somebody comes along that I don't agree with, I'll just kill them. I'll just hit them over the head with this brick or this spear or whatever it is. And that will be society again. And if the woman can get close enough and take them out, then maybe a woman will be the ruler. You see what I mean? It's all going to be on who's able to take out the leader, and then you still have to have people that are going to hunt, cook, clean, pick up everything, clean the fish and cook the fish. And, if you got two guys that both want everything for themselves, and this guy over here has like 5 or 6 women that are pregnant and they're holding their new babies or whatever. This guy is going to be just like a lion in a pride. Okay. You got this guy, this lion that wants that pride. Well, that pride has that lion, and there it has cubs. So this pride lion goes in, kills the other lion, and then kills all the cubs, because he doesn't want that generation of cubs to grow. And now all the new female lions who lost their cubs will go back into estrus, and now he's going to have babies. See, that's wild. That's in the wild. That's how lions rule the jungle. And basically, that's basically where we're going to end up if we don't do something to take back humanity and start fighting for where are we going to be in 100 years. Are we going to be just a bunch of animals killing each other in the street and just taking the women that we want and keeping the kids that we decide we want to keep? Where are we going to end up if we don't say no to something and
Janet,
start giving back?
Janet, you're gonna get control of this block and those ruins of the old Wendy's.
Mm-hmm.
And when you want food, you can come over to the ruins of this taco truck, and then we'll go hike. We'll send a delegate from each camp together, and they'll go find some manteca down and see those fat people down there. See those people with the handicap stickers. You're gonna go over there. We're gonna take their stuff. We're gonna take all their stuff, and that's how it'll be. I mean, I know this sounds kind of ridiculous for some of you, and some of you might have thought this entire show sounds ridiculous, but the acquisition of just stuff on a by block level in the cities would be a lot of fun to watch as a impartial and unseen observer that didn't have to worry about area effects like entire buildings collapsing or ordnance or things like that. It would be fun to watch. It'd be like a National Geographic snuff film,
like The Running Man.
Yeah, and
put it on TV.
You would have
what was it, the Hunting Games or whatever it was?
Hunger Games.
Yeah, Hunger Games. It's stuff like that. It's basically that story, but through a Christian point of view, in a way, about
this movie doesn't really have the the Christian point of view, because demons. I don't think demons really give a shit about Christianity. There might be demons which are elements.
Remember what he said? Remember what the psychiatrist said to him? He said, why are you even talking about, he was talking about the angels, the good angels and God and all that and the other things, Christian things. And he said, well, I know those things are real. That's why I'm here. Because he was cast out because he didn't agree. Okay. So, and that my father, which was Satan, basically, is the reason I'm here and why I'm doing these things, to help our side have more. And he said, there is more. There's more of us than there is of his army. His army is going to be way littler than ours because there's more of us ready to do whatever we got to do to win. And I do believe that right now. I look around and I have a hard time believing that we are going to have, a fighting chance, basically,
I,
because so much corruption and evil out there.
well, I mean, I would hope the people that enter chat have a nice long discussion with what they heard us discuss tonight. I hope more of them even decide to go watch the movie, because as much as I enjoy showing off films on our Sunday night Discord movie night, I know there are people that would like to see this movie. Just to say they saw it as street cred, or maybe just for their curiosity, because this movie sounds like it's pretty good, and it's got Patrick Flanery in it. There's some other famous people according to IMDb. Yeah, I could probably see this movie, and I wouldn't hate myself too much. This movie rocks. This movie really does a great job of doing what I call courtroom action, which is action that's really not action, but it's more emotion and raw emotion internalized with convincing actors. And this movie convinced the shit out of me that they really weren't acting that much. They're talking about spirituality throughout the entire conversation. And that's like 50 minutes of the movie.
Yeah. And that's what I was going to tell everyone, is that basically this movie is in like two places. It takes place inside one room, basically in a prison, and there's prison guards in it, and the two main actors, and at the very end there's a woman. But that's it. That's basically all that's in it. But the whole thing is a very emotional conversation between two people, and choices. They talk about choices that each of them have made in their life and how it's affected other people. And would you do something to change it if you could?
I do like how it showed.
Thriller. Sorry, go ahead.
I love how it showed how the priest was a threat until he came out and basically identified he was friendly and fuzzy and huggable, and that's when the demon relaxes, like, whew, I'm glad, because I thought you were serious at first, but you're just a show priest.
Yeah, he's not a real priest.
No.
Okay, just like what you're seeing more and more, and I kind of like that, the way that they did that and the way that they worded that when the priest came out and told them that, we no longer do those things, in our church and things like that, because now you have churches where gays are priests, things like that. So they're
you have the entire flock, which has been given amnesty, and they're able to just do whatever the hell they want. Just show up on Sunday. We're going to have a party here, and bring your kids, because we're going to have a drag show too. And woo-hoo. And that's all they do. They literally do the worst they can to slander the original intent of the founders of that church, wherever they're at. And they put on this.
That's basically, I feel that's what basically the way that when they put that priest that came out and was telling them, we don't do exorcisms, and we don't do these things anymore. Basically, it's all a show. Okay. And that's what the demon was basically saying. Oh, okay. Because he was afraid that it was going to hurt, like what you'd see a vampire reacting when he sees a cross. And remember how I thought the scenes in Fright Night were so good when the demon looks at the vampire killer, and he laughs when he pulls the crucifix up, and he says, "Back, you animal," or whatever it was. Yeah. And he starts laughing, and he grabs the cross with his bare hand, the vampire, and says, "You have to have faith for that to work on me." So basically, it's that same concept when the demon sees the priest, because he's realizing when he talks to the priest that this isn't really a priest. He doesn't have the faith that he needs to take someone down like me, type of thing. That's why all the demons were petrified of Constantine, even though Constantine had tried to commit suicide, right? So he was not going to be welcome in heaven okay, because of his religion, that he believed that he was not going to be welcome because he did try to commit suicide. He was now going to go to hell. So no matter what he did and what he did while the rest of the time he was alive, that basically he was not going to earn his way into heaven, right? So basically, that's what I felt that whole character was telling me watching the movie, was that basically, churches aren't really doing their part.
They never have.
Pastors
I will say that.
and priests were not doing their part at saving their flock anymore, because now they're coddling their flock. It's okay if you're gay. It's okay if you want to change genders. It's okay if you cut off your balls. It's okay if you molest kids. It's okay if you do this, because all you got to do is come to me as the priest and say, I've sinned. What can I do? Oh, we'll say these many Hail Marys and blah, 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 and you're all right. Stepping in where they should be praying to God, please God, and asking for forgiveness the right way, instead of going to their priest and saying whatever to get, a little applaud. Oh, thank you for coming to church, whatever type of thing. So that's what I took from it. I don't know how anyone else would see it, but I think anyone that comes and watches this should want to watch it simply for the fact to find out what they got from it. What story came out in your head as you watch this and listen to these two gentlemen battle it out, to figure out where they belonged in the world and what was their choice, and what choices would you make personally to change things around you? Would it have to be with religion? Or was it because you just believe in humanity? What is it that you take from this movie? That's why I would tell people to watch it, simply for the fact, whether you are a believer or a non-believer, what is it you feel that the story is trying to say to you as an individual, as a human being? What is it compelling you to think about? What choices would you change in your life now that you've seen this, in this point of view, that this supposed demon was trying to get this psychiatrist to think? But he was right. The demon was right in the end. He did promote his book, didn't he? Even though it was at a different point of view, but he was still doing it. So the demon was right all along. Everything, single thing he said was real, was true for this story. Because there is a fine line between good and evil, especially if they both came from the same place. Because you got to remember, in the Christian world, Lucifer was once God's right-hand man, basically. He helped create creatures that are living amongst us on this planet, if you're a Christian and you believe that. So who else would know almost as much as God, right?
The ones that were doing his bidding, or the ones that have been here for so long, they were supposed to be doing his bidding.
Yeah.
But instead, some of them got greedy. Some of them heard what Lucifer said, and they got jealous. They got furious.
You and me, because we were given a choice to either do it or not. We weren't made simply to do it for God, Just like he said, we were treated as slaves. We were made to have to do this and do that, all for him, for his glory, but not for ourselves. So I thought it was a very good point of view on how they broke everything down and tried to explain it to you. If you listened to it, if you listen to it, and I guarantee every person that leaves is going to get something different from it, because to me, it's just almost like the Passion. It's telling the same story to everyone, but each of us are going to take away from it what we feel that we're lacking in ourselves. I don't know if does that make sense?
Well, yeah, I mean, just 30 minutes ago, I was talking about how I was seeing myself as the host body of the demon, and I'm like, that guy, he wasn't taking good care of himself, and the demon got in. And I wasn't, like, I'm one of the worst caretakers of my own self. Like, I for 2 weeks I walked around on a foot that I knew was infected by something until I saw a doctor 2 Fridays ago. The doc says, "How long has that foot been like that?" "It's the size of a grapefruit." "Oh, well, about 2 weeks. I stepped on an ant nest and got about 150 bites."
Mm-hmm.
"You realize that's cellulitis?" "Shit." "Okay, do I have your attention?" "Yes, doc. What do I need to do?"
Mm-hmm.
And a lot of us need a wake-up call. And
That's
maybe
exactly it.
this comes off as too preachy to you guys, but how many of us have the ability to go get involved with our town or our school board and go and start fixing the problems that are otherwise going to get perpetuated and ran away with to the bank, and they're going to ruin your little acre that you love so much?
Mm-hmm.
And how many of us are going to not do that, but instead, like, on Tuesdays, I stream with a buddy of mine, and on Fridays, I just like being a dick in the chat and then on a microphone. But how many of us are actually going to go and try to get involved with our neighbors and try to fix the things within our arm's reach? Because that's what people do that have the providence to do so.
Mm-hmm.
And we shouldn't be shirking these responsibilities. We're behind the 8 ball. We've already lost. We have to at least try to gain ground for the people behind us. Because right now we fucked up. We fucked up long ago. And we practiced apathy in the 90s. My generation, Gen X, I love you, but we really screwed up. And there were so many notices and stories and articles in Time and Newsweek and all these other garbage locations, and they were talking about how there was nothing to protest. They were saying, "No, we're all here, but we're not angry about anything. There's nothing for us to get excited about." And yet the churches that we had been growing up in, they started dropping in popularity, and the churches became the problem because Catholicism was the problem. They were diddling kids. The fact that the churches were highlighted, or the Catholic Church was highlighted, but yet all the other ills in our society, in our villages, in our towns, in our cities were neglected, that's on us.
Mm-hmm.
We screwed that up. We haven't lost completely everything, but for us to go out there and reverse the course, there has to be a little more effort done by those who don't want to have the same complaint 1 year from now.
Yep.
As much as I enjoy the likes or the shares, the subscribes, thank you, LDG, again. As much as I enjoy that, I would really much rather be able to say, like, when I was 48, I thought we were staring at, the brink of the end of Western civilization, but thankfully we didn't.
Mm-hmm.
I don't want to have to say, like, well, me and Janet are going to go knock over a warehouse 2 blocks down because there's a gang of kids that they run a 10 square block area, but that's their weakest link. And if we can get just the Bobcat loaded onto the flatbed and their food truck, we have food for the next month, and we have the ability to dig some trenches and make it to where we can get a kill zone established. I don't want to be talking like this. I really don't. I don't want to be thinking about neighborhood defense, block reinforcement, and trying to do recruitment for a gang.
Yeah.
Okay? Let's stop. Let's stop the destruction of Western civilization. Let's not let our society go backwards.
Mm-hmm. See, that's what I'm saying. But the thing is, we can do it. We can do it, and some people are doing it. Just like what you saw in all the videos that you and I've watched, with the one thing of the parents going to the school boards and fighting for their kids at school about the books, about the grooming stuff, about teaching them masturbation, all this stuff, all those things. All these parents around the world, not just in one little town in Texas or wherever, okay, fighting back about the the gay story time, you know, things like that. So people are fighting back. The sad fact
Janet,
is,
you're pretty okay with, like, the mahogany lady coming in, and she's got like 9 inches swinging, and she's dolled up. She's got the big hair from the '80s wig, and she's going to sit in that children's library right down the road from you at Fort Smith, and she's going to have the Army kids and the Civvy kids all together at once, and she's just going to read to them the story of Santa's husband.
Mhm.
You're okay with that, though, right?
Well, see, the thing is, it's like what when we were watching this, when we were
Bless you.
watching
Take
this
care,
movie-
buddy. God bless you.
Good night. Thank you for stopping in. But when we were watching this movie, and I was thinking about what happened when I told you a little bit about when I was sitting in court when he pled, right, to two of the things because he didn't want to go before a jury and have them find out all the evidence about what they had, okay, against him for what he did to my niece, right? But I try not to get emotional about it. But when I was listening to this, and he was talking to him about the choices that he had, and that when it came to the child, about calling his, his girlfriend, and because he was selfish and didn't want to give up his job and didn't want to commit, because if he got rid of this girl, he could have another one waiting in the wings, but he wasn't going to get rid of this one yet because he was thinking about breaking up with her because he was getting tired of her, blah, blah, blah. But then she got pregnant. Now he's got to get rid of it. And this is what he's saying to him the whole time. And all I could think about was how corrupt things are going on in our world right now. And how a little 9-year-old girl could look up at a man while he's forcing her to give him a blowjob, and how she could look and how abandoned and lonely she must have been at that moment when that's happened to her. But we're not supposed to be mad about that. We're not supposed to be mad that somebody can do that to a kid, and we're not allowed to get upset about it and want to stop people like him. We're not supposed to be able to do anything. And by us not doing anything and not taking any action, it's like we agree that we think it's okay that a child shouldn't get to be a child anymore, that we should force all of our children to have to perform for whoever gets the sick urge to use a child that way, and for us not to stand up for them. So how can we?
There's a lot of places out there that are sick because they allow that to happen. I would like to think that any one of my friends that ever needed me to stand up for them in court because they beat the hell out of a monster that did that to a child out of one of their daughters, if any one of my friends or family ever asked, hey, I'm probably going to go sit in a chair and get fried, but I really could use you. What happened? You didn't read the papers? I don't read papers. Bruce, my daughter, my son was forced to perform a sexual act because an adult told him to. And I made that person past tense. So I'm probably going to get the chair because of the district attorney is one of some big political bigwig guy. If you want to say, oh, Bruce is just talking bad about George Soros DAs, fine, I am. But probably if you're in an area that's overpopulated, you're not going to be thought of very well for doing the right thing, for defending a child. Call me. I'll do what I can for you. I know that sounds stupid, but I mean, I would hope my friends or family would ask, help me.
Thing is, that's why I wanted to go. I wanted to be there. I wanted to show my support, and my only way of being able to do that was to be there and watch this person and show this person that now I see him for what he really is. And everyone in this courtroom sees you for what you are. You know, you're an animal, you're a pig. You don't deserve to walk amongst the rest of us, because we actually care about what happens to children, you know. And the district attorney and the judge, you know, I thought were just phenomenal. And I was thankful that they were willing to sit and listen to this girl and other girls tell their stories, older now, but that had happened to them, to make sure this person was put in jail for what they did. And I got to see that today. So I got to see justice. And then I got a letter on Friday that I'm going to be serving jury duty. So I'm going to get to maybe give some justice to another family. But I don't know what I'll be asked to do. But the thing is that that's how you and me can fight. Okay. And what was sad to me too, on top of this, was I got on Twitter and I posted, I just got stuff that says I'm supposed to serve jury duty. And then I had 5 or 6 people out of hundreds that said, you should do it, you know, do your duty, you know, all this type of thing, which is exactly what I said. Okay. That I'm going to do it. I'm going to fill out the paperwork and submit it, and either they'll like me or they won't, because I'm going to be honest and tell them the truth of, you know, whatever questions they ask me. And because that's what I believe I should do. But so many people said, I can help you. I'll tell you what to do to get out of it. Everybody, hundreds of people telling me how to get out of jury duty. That's why we are where we are in society. It's because people want to shirk responsibility and pawn it on someone else. Just think about it. If you were accused of a crime, of doing something really bad to someone, and nobody wanted to defend you, not one person, even if they saw what happened and they knew that you weren't the one, and they still said, it's not my problem. Where would you be? Where are we all going to be when nobody wants to step in and do what's right and tell the truth? We're all going to be screwed. That's where we are right now. We have people running our cities, running our school boards, being parents, making decisions for your children as teachers. They don't give a shit.
Worse, they have no moral compass. And I'm not saying that we need to run around like Miss Manners, but when it comes to how your kids are raised, I think whenever you get older, I think whenever your body starts to fail you, I think you're really going to wish you'd treated your kids a little bit better. And I'm not saying spoil your kids. I'm going to say, like, by showing your kids discipline, by showing your kids you care, and getting involved with them, helping drive like a whole bunch of them to their softball practice, or taking them, across like county lines to go take care of a school meeting or a school sports event. You know, you want to have your kids not be your enemy when you're in your older age. You know, I've seen this happen with family members where they didn't treat their daughters right, and it took them till like post death when the daughter finally was like, wow, I really should have listened, and I should have been a better person to my mom or my father. But instead, we just let our prejudices, and the regret will never end now. And you I know this sounds like probably something most of you don't need, but somebody out there, more than likely, if they want to be lazy, they want to be comfortable, they don't want to get involved with something that's outside of their own head. Heaven forbid, they have to, it's their child, for crying out loud, take care of your kids.
The thing is that I've many times I've talked about my family. Okay. I was a tomboy, and I have 4 sisters, and what kind of parents I had, and how lucky I felt I was. I still feel lucky. I still feel like I had wonderful parents. I had a very good childhood. But this whole thing that happened in my family has made me realize that even though I had the same parents as my other sisters, and I thought the same, taught the same moral things, and our responsibilities and stuff. Well, Sandy went with me this morning to court because she wanted to see this guy get what he deserved, because she couldn't go to sentencing because of her job, but she was able to go because it was early in the morning at 9 a.m. and she didn't have to take off from work or anything. So she was able to be there, and she was not happy when she realized that he only got convicted of 2 things, that he only had to plea what he got, and she didn't think it was enough. Okay, she didn't think when she got to, because I had all the paperwork and stuff, and I let her read all the stuff the district attorney gave us and what had happened and what they were going to use the evidence and all that stuff. And it was really hard, but the fact that her grandmother didn't believe her, still doesn't, and wasn't there, and it's not supportive of what we believe, what I believe, is caused a lot of problems in what I thought was a close family, but it's not. It's not. It's just hard when you realize that you live in a life, if you think you're doing the right things, but the rest of your family isn't the same. They don't believe in the same things that you do. That's a hard thing. And that's why I think everyone should watch this movie, because it'll really make you realize what you have to lose if we don't fight for what we have today. Sorry.
It's okay. The movie hit you pretty hard because, I mean, it spoke to you on a lot of different levels. It's obviously a really good film. I know that sounds like I'm biased. I'm going to give a good rating. You bet your ass I will. This is one of the films that, I don't really like preachy movies. Even when Passion of the Christ came out, I still managed to get kicked out of a theater because I squirted somebody with a ketchup bottle. When you're 29, 28, you're an asshole. But people with, just because somebody's an adult doesn't mean they've got their life figured out. And there's still a lot of us that, we don't better ourselves. We at least try to hone each other. We try to make sure that we talk to each other. I mean, I think that's why guys are dicks to each other. I think you see a group of friends and they're willing to tell each other the truth. Like, dude, are you seriously going to let your daughter wear that? I mean, it's one thing for your wife to wear that when we go out to the bar and we're just there shooting pool and she wants to dance with her friends and look cute, and that's great. Your daughter's 12. Why do you want her to look like that? That's really shitty parenting on your part. It's okay for guys to say that to each other.
Mm-hmm. But the thing is, the fact that you cared enough to tell your friend that about his daughter, that should tell something to your friend. At least I would take it that way. If someone was to tell me, I don't think you should try that, or like I was the one friend in school that would say, I don't think you should have that other beer. I don't think you should smoke that pot. I was the funny duddy. I was the one that no one wanted as a friend, because I was always trying to tell people that don't do that. It's not smart. You shouldn't drink and drive. You should wear your seatbelt, all those things. And
I think all of us could probably say, there's a point in my life I wish I could go back to. I could tell somebody, hey, don't get behind the wheel. You're going to die because you're a shitty driver when you're sober and you're drunk as shit right now. I think there's plenty of us that have that little pang of regret. Like, maybe if I would have been a dick one more time to that guy, he'd still be alive. And I think that probably isn't something that everybody wants to hear. But I think all of us, especially, it's getting around the silly season when we're all supposed to be getting together with family and friends. My mom and dad, God bless them, they've got me. I'm no surprise an only child, and there's a lot of other things that are behind that, but we won't go there. My parents, thank God, live in an area where they've been active for like 50 years. And so they've got their roots down and they've got their social structures. They've got their sisters, their brother, actually their sisters. My dad's brother's been gone for a few decades. Um, there's just there's a sadness at the holidays as each one approaches, because you start like you weep nostalgic, like I wish my grandmother was here, I wish my brother was here, I wish my father wasn't such a doddering idiot, or I wish my mom was able to like get out of her wheelchair. And we start thinking of these things that we don't have. We should be thankful that we still have those family members to give a hard time to. I missed seeing my parents this week because 1,000 miles between us. Got to see them on video. Pretty happy. I wish everybody had the relationship with their parents that I've got, because I feel very special. I can call my parents at the end of every workday, and they talk to me on the way home, as I try not to throttle other drivers and try not to edge other drivers off the road. But I live in a shitty driving culture. I'm sorry, guys. It's San Antonio. For those of you that know the place, you know the place. I grew up in a very blessed environment, and I mean that by the most sincerest means. I got a chance to grow up with dogs. We had family dogs. We the first house my parents got, we were renting from a guy, and there was 3 dogs on property. One of the dogs was female. One winter we had 11 dogs on the property. I was the happiest 4-year-old kid out there. And I mean, my life was pretty much just like that, a stupid storybook. And then once I got in the real world, and like all of my friends are divorced parents, or not divorced parents, but they're the children of single parents. And I realized like I'm pulling groups of people together as I go from area to area, circle to circle. I keep getting the same group of people where like most of them are pretty all right. They've gotten good with what holes in their family might not have. They might have had both parents, but they didn't have their grandparents, or they had other things going on. But like there was always like you could see the bad news bears in most of the circles that I ran with. And it was really weird how those circles were. And I want to say storybook because, like, for crying out loud, I live 3 hours south of where Chris Columbus and John Hughes were writing movies and making blockbusters. So like they pretty much captured most of Illinois' culture. But those days are gone. And I'm almost 50. Most of the people I talk about are gone. And I'm lucky to still talk with my parents every day. My uncle just died of brain cancer in not just died, 2017. Another relative was really sick over the past weekend, and thankfully she got better. But it's just been one of those things where we got one more big holiday to push through, and then we're at a silly season. But the first holiday I think a lot of people neglect is Thanksgiving, because it's supposed to be the time where you're thankful for the things you've got. And it's really hard to say that in one mouthful. And then the next I turn over to Janet, and she expresses courtroom drama that she rightfully has a reason to espouse, because she wants to get it off her chest. But I want you guys to understand that our lives are fairly much radically different, but they're still like, we're still really good friends. I still listen to her on a lot of different avenues. And I hope that if she ever has a problem with things, she can at least come to me as a friend, like, I need you to listen. And I hope everybody has somebody like that. I hope you guys in chat have somebody like that, to where when your shit falls apart, you just got somebody that's going to put aside, okay, what do you need me to do? And they don't need much. Just listen to them.
Mm-hmm.
Because otherwise they're gonna unfray, they're gonna untangle, and they're gonna be a mess. And it's easy to do that this time of year.
Mm-hmm. It's important.
If you got family that's close, that's great. It's hard to keep that going. I know for a lot of people, as things are unraveling in America and the rest of the world, people are getting their wagons packed up and they're going to greener pastures. I get it. You need to foster good friendships and relationships, no matter where you're at.
Mhm.
It's hard to do that when you have things in your life that drag you down. It's hard to do that when you're reaching for your phone. I got to go to Reddit, r thick or r sex or r whatever it is, whatever fetish you've got. It's hard to do that whenever you're like, I could really ignore all this and just like grab a blunt. I could really ignore all the problems in my close family right now and just grab some beer and just get obliterated and numb to the rest of this shit. I really hope you guys don't have that.
Everybody has to wake up.
And I really hope you guys, if you need somebody to talk to, you know who you can go to. I hope you've got somebody with in your phone contacts. You've got somebody you can like touch base with. There's people on my phone that every week I'm asking them, hey, if we haven't talked, give me a status update. What's going on? Because they weren't at risk, but I don't want them to get at risk. I don't want them to have problems. And I think that's how you're supposed to do that. You don't have to be super close with everybody, but with at least 4 other people, you want to be like brothers. You want to be like shitty uncles to shitty nephews or family. You know, you want to be to where you're discussing things with people and you're very realistic about your behaviors or goal setting if you're that educated. And I think that's important. You have to have that because we are social creatures. As much as we want to be antisocial and just live on our farm and not deal with people, you see Janet run into the city 3 times a week, 4 times a week to do her burnouts at the gym. She bumps into people. She's social there.
Mm-hmm.
99% of the people she bumps into have no idea what she does here on the web. they have no idea. They have no
I
idea
don't
the
talk
creative
about
genius
it.
she is.
I don't talk about a lot of things.
You really
But
don't have you don't really have to self-advertise like the rest of us do. Oh yeah, I've got a YouTube channel. My name's Bruce. Yeah. Janet puts her stuff out there and it just fucking just it's a light and there's moths all over it. We just swarm right to it.
I'm not. I'm just a person like like everyone. All of us. We all need. We need someone. We need someone to be friends with. We need family. We need other people to socialize with. It's very important. I really believe that. But one thing I wanted to bring up before I got sidetracked with my feelings was the one part in the movie that I thought was very important, and I was looking for it while you were talking. Was uh, according to an onset exorcist, one of his favorite scenes in the film, because of its realism, was when the weary psychiatrist expressed, "I didn't know I was in a fight," and the demon said, "That's why you're losing." And that's what I see all the time right now in our world, is the fact that we're all wandering around doing our things, getting our stuff done, fixing our house, working on our cars, or just piddling through our lives when there's a war all around us. They're trying to take our kids from us. They're taking our homes. They're taking our jobs. They're taking our land. They're taking our means to be able to get good food to eat, because they don't want you to be able to, they want you to eat crickets, they don't want you to have real meat. All these people are fighting against you every day, and we're just going on with our motion. We're not realizing how deep their claws are in everything that we do in our lives. And it's up to us to fight back and take it back, what belongs to us. I mean, the house that you worked hard for, the things in your home that you've paid for that belongs to you, that you should be able to keep, your relationship with your lovers, with your friends, with your family, with your parents. Nobody has the right to come in and tell you you can't see your parents. But guess what? Our government spent years doing it by saying COVID COVID this, COVID that. You can't get near your loved ones. How many people had to die alone and couldn't be with their family or loved one because they weren't allowed to. They made you close your church. You had to quit your job because you wouldn't get a shot. All these different things, and it happened because we complied. And then there was a few people that said, hell no, I'm not wearing a mask, so I won't go to your business. I'm not taking that jab, so you lost your job. Now they're trying to get people that got kicked out of the military to go back to the military, and they'll get back pay and whatever else because they're hurting now. There's not enough people in the military. They're thinking about even doing a draft. So we are making a difference. Things are changing because we are saying, hell no, it's not good. I'm not letting you do it anymore. So people are fighting back. And I'm seeing little glimmer here, a little glimmer there, where parents are fighting for the kids, for the schools. This movie, The Sound of Freedom, came out, and they're saving children from predators.
Yeah, but it's not getting streaming anywhere.
No, but
have you noticed that? Have you noticed that they're showing off? You can still find bros out there. You can still find cuties out there. No Sound of Freedom.
Well, the thing is, it doesn't matter if you can't see the movie anymore. The fact that these people that they made the movie about are still out there fighting for kids. Okay, just like that one story that you and I talked about on the shit show about the gay party that was going on, and one of them fell and had a heart attack. Right? Remember that? And the paramedics and stuff showed up, and one of them went to the back room and found kids back there. Remember? So little things like that are still happening every week in the United States, even though for some reason our news media just doesn't want to tell good stories about all the kids that are being saved. They just don't want to talk about any of it because they don't want you to know there's a problem, right? So by us not watching them on TV, not supporting these people, not buying tickets to movies that we know are shit, like the newest Marvel movie, whatever, different things like that. That's how we win, by not giving them our money, not giving them our time, not wasting our efforts on them in any way. Use your time and your money to do things that are good. Donate to the homeless shelter. Donate your time to go work at the homeless shelter. Pass out meals. Donate time for your church. Pick up trash. Go donate a chance a day to work at the elementary school and be in the playground, or go to the library and put books away. There's so many things that we can do to help our own communities, and it just takes us getting off our butt and going and doing it instead of waiting for someone else to do it. Just like I said, when I posted that I got jury duty, hundreds of people were telling me how I can help you get out of it. Nobody wants to work the polls so we can have free and fair elections. So they have to bring in machines to count because just nobody wants to do it. Nobody wants to take time out of their busy lives to make sure you have the right to have a fair vote. So until you and I take back our communities and start fighting for what we believe that we need, which is freedom, we fight for our own freedom to have the right to vote, for our kids to go to a safe school, to go to a good church if we want one, to go to anything, to have anything in our community. Until we fight to keep it, what's going to stop them from taking it from us? We're not. We're just sitting on our ass watching television or whatever else is going on, because we're letting other people make those decisions. Well, guess what? I filled out the paperwork and I turned it in this morning to work, to be able to do jury duty. So hopefully I'll be able to give somebody like you and I that's accused of a crime, a person that really gives a shit about the truth, to listen to the evidence and make the decision from that. And so whoever I'm going to be on a jury for, I hope they appreciate that there is people like me that still want to do the right thing and want to see fair. Because if it was me, I would hope that I'm going to get a jury of my peers that actually give a shit about truth. And that's what I'm going to do it for that. So if more people would do that, I just think that we'd be better off. Our whole society would be better off. The whole world would be better off. But I don't know. I don't know if we have enough of us to do it anymore. I just don't know how long we can limp along anymore.
Have a good night, lady. Thank you, sir. Good
night.
I don't know. I don't know. I don't want to look at this as like we're going to lose. I know that.
No, I think we can win.
I think we can.
I still do. I some bad things happen in my family that open my eyes, that even when you think you're surrounded by good people, you realize that when something happens, something bad happens, who the good guys are and who the bad guys are. And sometimes you're going to be shocked.
Well,
find out who some of them are. And it's not fun. But it can happen to anyone. But it's up to us that's left to try to do something about it.
Yeah, that's so true.
Right?
Tonight's discussion has been a lot of more personal items than what usually we espouse. And for those of you that are just now, this is your first time visiting a girl, a guy, and a movie. We usually do get sidetracked. That's just a quick note from the creator here, the OP. I would like to say I thank you for being here. Appreciate you all being here for the time you have. If I could have those of you in chat go ahead and give us your scores if you are familiar with this movie. If you've seen Nefarious, go ahead. Whatever rating you use, thumbs up, thumbs down, percentage score, report letter grade, whatever you give for a score, that's what I want. We'll read it. We'll discuss your thoughts. That's one thing I want to hear from you guys while me and Janet are getting everything behind the scenes. We're getting ready to wrap this up within the next 25, 30 minutes, because we will probably want to wrap it up in the next 10 minutes or so, but there's also the fact that we talk and therefore we bunny trail. Janet, next time we do a movie festival, do you want to stay with Sean Patrick Flanery because you appreciate his movies, or do you want to pick another author,
No,
actor?
I think it's your turn to pick someone.
Well, right now I really can't because we're in December, and
I know, but I mean, the next time we do a person, I think you should pick someone.
We're going to do the December is a month of Christmas movies because is the season. I'm not a super fan of Christmas, as you guys know. I love Christ, despise the marketization and the commercialization of the holiday. I absolutely hate it.
Yeah, there's many people that feel that way.
Mariah Carey is a succubus. I don't care what anybody says. She's a gosh damn succubus. I just like she starts crooning that song, and like your MasterCard or your Eddie Bauer Platinum Visa comes out, and you start swiping shit that your relatives don't need. You'd be better off spending good time with your relatives and family if you had the time to spend with your relatives and family. Okay, you'd be better off spending time with your friends than by giving them stuff, because more than likely they're like me and they've already got like so much stuff inside their abode. They probably don't need any more stuff. In fact, they probably could have a garage sale or two. Also, I might also say that if any of you guys are looking for someone that does painted miniatures, I am selling miniatures off of my shelf. I know that the steep price, 5 miniatures for $35 plus shipping and handling is a little bit much. Actually, I'm increasing that to $6 for $35, 6 figures for $35. If you want to go and be like, Bruce, I need an assortment. I need like 20 figs. We're going to talk, and it's going to be pretty reasonable because I know for a fact, one, I'm trying to get a house, and two, I don't want to move. I don't want to have to move all this stuff into another house. It's going to be a bigger square footage, but 200 painted figs, it'll bounce between like 150 to 170 on price. And those are for like medium-sized figs or dwarf or elf-sized figs. If you're looking for giants or something like that, it'll be different. But figures off the shelf, let me know what you're looking for. We'll talk. No, Grumpy. I've got so many. Do I really need all of them? Probably not. Moving, I'm scared. I am completely scared of moving because when you unpack, you find out like 30% of your stock is broken. So let me just pack these in a nice like foam box and ship them across country, trusting the U.S. Postal Service to not fuck us. And most of the time they don't. We ship the figures and we get them in nice packaging. I've got some actual packaging from an RPG. I think it was RPG Lot or some monthly RPG thing, and they gave us foam boxes, foam trays, and so I've got a couple of those I can pack things in. But if you guys are looking for miniatures, talk to me on Discord. I'll be more than happy to discuss prices with you. I want to say I'm reasonable. Some people will be like, "Oh my God, listen, I'm trying to get rid of the figures. I'm trying to." I think 20 figs for 150 to 175 is a fairly reasonable price. Plus the customer pays shipping. I know that sounds rough, but I recently shipped some things out and I didn't realize like, wow, we need to set up a better system. And if anybody here has a better system for like either Etsy or eBay or whatever you want to do, whatever's going to give us the best shipping price, talk to me about it. I'll be more than happy because no offense, I love the Pony Express, but I don't think that they have golden horses. Okay. All right.
But plus, you got to think about it.
Say again?
What better thing than to be able to buy something you saw Bruce working on his channel? You know,
I talk to me about it. If it's seriously something you want on your table, if you want something on your shelf, let me know. I'll be more than happy.
But I wanted to say something about us doing Patrick Flanery, to get to see him from the first movie I saw him in, which was Powder, to see his acting ability change from when he was in Powder to seeing him in this movie, I thought was phenomenal because to me, he has come a long way as an actor and the strength to be able to portray someone as powerful as Nefarious was to me in this movie. I just wanted to make sure people knew that, that's what I was seeing it because of his acting ability. It's just that I didn't realize at the time when we first picked these movies that things would be this emotional for me at this time when we did get to watch this movie. So, that has nothing to do with it. And I'm sorry if it really made it a downer for people because I'm not normally like that. Okay. It's just that things change sometimes when you see things or you're confronted with things in your real life and how it mirrors.
It's your needs.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't see how anybody would be able to stay sane.
Well, you stay sane because you have people to share with. You have people to talk about things with, to vent with, and that won't judge you because you see something a certain way or, you absorb information differently than others or whatever it is. The thing is that I have, wonderful sisters and I still have my dad, and I also have some good friends, and that makes a big difference when you are trying to deal with things, emotional things in your life. But for this movie, It was, I thought it was a very well made. You could definitely tell the passion behind the actors that took the roles to portray the characters that they did in this movie. Even the simple fact of certain characters, such as the woman on the phone that he was talking to, they did a very good job at making it sound like she really loved him, and that she felt like what she was doing was the right thing, you know, when she was having a procedure to take care of and get rid of her baby over the phone. So to me, even though this is a low budget movie and it was independent, and they didn't really have a lot of special effects or anything like that in the movie, besides, the thing when the chain, when he broke his hand, you could hear the bones cracking to slip his hand out of the handcuffs so he could grab him. Remember when he slammed into the table and wrapped the chain around his throat?
Yep.
To scare him? Little things like that. The realism of it was just over the top, which was really, really good, for it to be a psychological thriller, which is what I would set this movie in. To me, it really didn't lean so much to where it was choking you or beating you over the head with the Bible type stuff. I didn't really see that at all in the
No, I
movie.
didn't either.
So to me, it wasn't a movie that's just that only Christians would want to see. I think this is a movie for everyone. I really do. About humans, humans making decisions that are not good for their future, not good for them to last very long in the world if we keep going down this path. That's basically what this movie told me. And they leaned it towards demons, which most people who aren't religious wouldn't believe in demons. So to me, it did have a religious aspect in the movie, but the overall movie wasn't about religion, or if you didn't believe in religion, you wouldn't like the movie. So to me, it didn't do that. I thought the acting was just really, really good, very believable. Even though, just like you said, the young man that played Dr. Martin, his name was Jordan Belfi. I had seen him in something else. I can't remember exactly what it was, but he's a good actor. I mean, he did a very good job for the part, to be sitting across the table from another person basically through the whole movie. You're just talking and conversing, and the expressions on their faces, the emotion that they used when he stood up with anger, and demanding to use the phone so he could call his girlfriend, things like that. It was just very good. I just thought it was very, very good. Just like you said, that, what was it, 12 Angry Men?
Mm-hmm.
It was a lot like something like that type of.
This echoed back to 12 Angry Men so many times for me, because of just how it could be such an action-packed movie with two men seated at a table.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, very few movies can actually do that. I think Bridge of Lies with Tom Hanks is one. 12 Angry Men is a superior in that aspect. This movie here is probably between those two in terms of like my rating. Just so you guys know, 12 Angry Men, not one of my favorite movies of all time. Fantastic film. I'm talking about the black and white version from the 1950s or 60s. I'm going to give that like a 92. Okay. That's about as perfect as courtroom dramas will ever get. With okay, between that and Mockingbird, To Kill a Mockingbird, those two are 92, and To Kill a Mockingbird has numerous sets. There's lots of different locations. The fact that the young girl never did another movie in her life, and she was still famous for that movie, is amazing. But I think 12 Angry Men is like the perfect courtroom drama. It never leaves the courtroom. It's just amazing for all that takes place from the start to finish. And this movie achieves almost the same level with just two people. Actually, three, really. But I agree. In the chat, we've got some people that are talking about this film, and we got Six Nations, 31 Kings says it's a 7. Kronos, I haven't seen in the movie. I'm glad to be here, though. Or 70 out of 100. Now he's speaking my language. Grumpy Old Ninja Kintaro says 9 out of 10 stars. 7 out of 10. 7, mind you, I am biased, but 9 out of 10 will be my score.
Mm-hmm.
I really did dig Flanery's role and his acting in the film. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
It's very scary.
All right, Cary, a gosh dang succubus. Okay.
But yeah, I'm going to give it a 9 out of 10. And the reason I can't give it a 10 is because there was a few things that I thought were a little bit messed up. One of them was the fact where the demon says something to the doctor about him being 35 years old. Okay. And
Yeah.
he clearly did not look 35. You could tell he wasn't 35. So to me, that was a little, you should never, ever use a number like that in a movie, because then you're stuck with trying to make people believe that they're 35 or whatever age that they say in the movie like that. So that was one thing that took me back, because I'm like, he definitely does not look 35 to me. And it made me start thinking about him not being the character that he was, because now I'm looking at him trying to figure out how old he is. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. So it took me out of the scene when he mentioned that. That was just one. There was a few others, but I didn't write them down. So right now I'm having a hard time trying to remember all of them. But there was a few other things that I just had a hard time with in the way that they decided to do it. One part was where they cut his hair when they shaved his head. Mm-hmm. I don't know, something about that scene. I just didn't buy it. It didn't have me pulled in as much. And I don't know if it was just the interaction between the guy cutting his hair and him, whether they didn't have good chemistry or what. I don't know what it was, but to me, the scene, something was not right in that scene. Mm-hmm. I don't know if anybody else noticed that. But then the other thing that really was really bad for me was the fact they didn't put anything over his head when he supposedly was being electrocuted, for the realism fact that everything else seemed so real, and by the book when they were doing it. The fact that it didn't cover his head, even though we knew who the actor was, we didn't have to see his face, and his body contortions and everything else would have been believable enough. I don't know. I just didn't like the fact that they didn't cover his face for the electrocution to make it more believable to me. You know what I mean? Because they would take a rag, like in the movie, was it The Green Mile? I think, and they put the wet rag underneath the helmet to give that the connection for the electrician. Yep. And then his feet were in a thing of water. There's certain things that they didn't do in this one when they went over and above what the Call of Duty for the interaction between the two of them at the desk or at the table. And the fact that he broke his thumb, and they even made it look like it was all bloody and bruised after he popped it back in. The chain.
Yeah, I kind of noticed that was just a small.
A few little things that they did, it just took away from the movie when the rest of it was just really, really good. Little things like that were the only things that I saw that why I couldn't give it a 10. But just for the acting ability is the reason. Just the acting and the story and the way they portrayed their characters is the reason I'm giving it a 9.
I'm not going to rate it a 9 or 90. I think this is a fantastic movie. Hey, American Bob, how you doing? This is one of those movies that, like I said, you sit down with your kids before you have them watch it. Mm-hmm. You have them sit there, be quiet, listen to what they're saying. Mm-hmm. If you've got a teenager in the house, and they like to read, the book is called A Nefarious Plot. Mm-hmm. I think
Would you rather them read it, or would you rather them watch the movie?
I would really rather watch them, have them read it, because I think the book, from what I'm seeing here and from what I've been able to glean online with a few early chapters, it looks like the book does a lot more. It goes into a lot more of just the scope of all the various things that just, we take for granted, but they're really not good for our society. We allow them anyway. They're part of our life. And I think I'd rather have that sit in my kid's head than just have them watch the film and have them possibly be distracted. No, watch a movie. I the book the book's even more powerful. Now it's kind of funny because one of the things Steve Deace says is he will not tell the reader how he came into the demonic manuscript that makes the book, but if he sells the movie rights, he will translate that story into a film. Author Steve Deace has expressed he wrote the preface as a joke, not knowing that someday his work would be made into a film. And then also later on, there's a picture of Steve Deace at the 45-minute mark talking to the guard. Dr. Martin's there. And there's an article on the computer monitor announcing a new prison board superintendent. And that's author Steve Deace, the man who wrote The Nefarious Plot. This is a movie that I think should be watched by a family. If you've got kids over the age of 8 or 10 and they recognize like just how heavy things can get, if they're mature and can handle it. If your kid's reading the books, Lord of the Rings or Dune, they're about the right age for this, because they need to understand the level and the maliciousness of evil that's in our world today. I know that might be too much for some people to want to hear, and I've been wrong before, but I would much rather be wrong trying to say, have your kids get exposed to this, because at the very least, they're going to see that you're trying to curate a healthy media environment for them. And therefore, later on, whenever you start doing things like, hey, you know what? I'm really not a big fan of Disney, so I'm canceling Disney Plus because they don't have any good things that are on. Or we're canceling like Netflix or cable or whatever, and we're just going to get old DVDs and VHSs out of like the pawn shop exchange. They'll at least back you, because they were like, they kind of curate the movies I see because they want me to watch things that are good instead of watching like 7 or 8 episodes of WandaVision. Hey guys, what was the plot of WandaVision? Doesn't matter. What was the plot of Wonder Woman 84? Doesn't matter. Nothing new today matters for the shit. It's just meant to be disposable, consumable media that you now get excited for the sequel in the fucking process, and it's just empty filler.
I think Bruce is starting to think maybe independent movies is the way to go. It sounds like it.
Damn it, I prefer independent anything more than anything else. If I have the opportunity to buy from a farmer's market, I'll do that. If I have the opportunity,
what's really funny is the fact that I'd never really watched independent movies until I started doing things, in movies, things being able to do more and more in movies, the more I wanted to watch independent. Doesn't that sound terrible? But the fact is that you get to see what a cluster it is.
but at the same time,
I don't want them to have control of all of it, because they aren't doing it for the right reason anymore. It's not for entertainment. It's for the money, or it's for the agenda that the people are pushing that have the money to push the agenda, if that makes any sense.
Makes complete sense, but you have to understand, like, there's an individual there, or there's actually like more of a dark soul that's there trying to ruin the populace, and by all the garbage he can put out in the media market, and by all the marketing money they can shove at a crappy product like, say, I don't know, the Marvels. You can see exactly where the definitions are at, and where exactly the lines are drawn in society. Because if somebody is out there saying, I can't wait to see the Marvels this weekend, probably a good idea not to value their opinion. I'm just saying, if somebody's telling you like, hey, listen, we're gonna try this cricket kebabs, and this food dish with bugs. You want to come over? No, just say no. Get the hell out of my life. I don't need you. This movie is not for those people. This movie is for you. This movie is for anybody that's ever thought, I really don't feel fulfilled watching mainstream news or watching mainstream network television. Maybe I really don't like MSNBC and the way they tell me that I'm terrible because I voted for Trump. Maybe this movie is for you because you actually think and you actually watch how things are, and you had your doubts about various things in society, and the demon's little victory lap as he's getting the human corpse that he's riding in, scheduled day for riding the lightning at 11 p.m.
Yeah.
Maybe this movie's for you. I'm going to rate this movie a strong 85. Okay, not for the fact that I can't rate it as high as Janet. No, it's not that. It's not that it's not that I don't have a personal tie to the star of the film. And I'm jealous of his boyishly good looks. It's the fact that I think this movie stands up really well for the fact it was made on like $6. I think they did really good with the various sets they had. The exterior shots weren't exactly at the location they said they were, and that's all right. If we ever film a movie at my house will be absolutely not the house I sleep in at night, I guarantee you. But I think this film is a fantastic way for you and your family or you and your loved ones to spend 2 hours and entertain yourselves, because there's so much in this film that you can grasp, that you can recognize, and you've allowed just small concessions in your life. And as this movie's just rolling along second by second, nugget by nugget, you realize how much shit you allow in your life. And at some point, you'll make a change. You will. A lot of people are like, no, Bruce is talking out his ass. Let me tell you something. I never envisioned myself at the age of 36 leaving my friends and family in Illinois and going to warmer places like Texas by myself. Mind you, I did have a cousin down here that wanted me to sleep on her couch until I got on my feet, and thank God for her. I really thank her every holiday season when we meet up. It's been a better choice for me every year. Whenever I see my friends that stayed in Illinois and they're looking for a job because the last one they had shut down, and the last one before that 4 years ago shut down, the one before that 8 years ago shut down. It seems like they all say the same thing. The taxes are too high in Illinois, and everybody's freezing. Ameren keeps raising their energy prices, and they don't know how to fix it. Well, fuck, I guess maybe you pack up the wagon and you move west, young man, or south. South would be my preference, but if you want to move west, I mean, California is nice and warm. It's just costly and inhospitable for common sense. But you do what you want. At some point, you're going to get tired of the habits that produce nothing for you. And that's where a lot of us kind of identify. We don't think we all kind of hang out together at once. I see everybody here in chats, various chats. We've all said, I don't need network television. I don't want to watch Friends on network TV. I don't need them to give me commercials. I would rather listen to Salty Army, or I'd rather listen to Gary from Nerdrotic, as much as I don't want to hear Gary from Nerdrotic talk about things that I really thought he'd never talk about. I like Gary, and I understand he's probably saying things because he likes the platform a little bit more than what I thought he did. But I really want him to get more free, get more on Odyssey, get more on Rumble. I'm very happy that guys like Comics Division are on Rumble. They're on Odyssey. I think that's great. I think more people need to discover those because they offer you true freedom of speech. And I want to thank the 6 people that are over on Rumble right now watching me. Or maybe it's 5 and me, because I have to monitor that side. Anyway, I think that more people, as time goes on, they're going to see where they may have messed up in life, and they don't want to do things that keep causing them either a financial or some other sort of a hiccup or hindrance. A lot of people do that day in and day out, and at some point they stop. Maybe because they don't need 7 beers in one night. Maybe because they don't, want to just sit down idly. Maybe they, the doctor tells them, if you don't change your ways, you're going to be filming a diabetes commercial. You understand? And that's something that a lot of people need. They need that wake up call.
Mm-hmm. Well, I wanted to say a couple of things about that I dug up about the movie. It said that some of the challenges shooting was the federal government in Oklahoma almost shut down the project due to a strike.
Yep.
Through no grievances were expressed. Electricity came down and the sound mixer died. Okay. 9 car crashes occurred with the crew, despite being under 100 drivers. Steve Deace, I guess how you pronounce his last name.
Deace.
Deace.
D-A-C-E.
Became infected.
E is long.
Yeah. Became infected with a cyst under his arm, and an on-set priest exorcist suffered a life-threatening ruptured appendix, and the roof of one of the office buildings was ripped off in a storm. So all those things happened while they were filming. And then it says, in a scene where a priest approaches Nefarious, who was frightened, some of his hair is on Sean Patrick Flanery's head is briefly formed into the shape of horns, which then settle back down when he realizes the priest is not taking his role seriously and therefore harmless. So that was 2 of the things that I was able to find about, I thought were pretty cool about all the bad things that were happening. Remember when they filmed The Passion of the Christ, and then they said that Jim Caviezel had gotten struck by lightning when he was up on the cross.
Mm-hmm.
And a few other things happened.
Not once, but twice.
Yeah, twice. Okay, there you go. But the thing is, other things happened. Mysterious things like somebody was trying to keep you from finishing this film, Now, all those things I just read off this sheet, it sure sounded like somebody didn't want this film filmed, you know what I mean? But not an actual person, that could say, oh, well, we're going to screw you over and take your budget, or whatever. This was all stuff that happened like, spiritually, if you think about it. And then this is the thing I wanted to read was this. The filmmakers said that this film was a different form of Christian ministry through film by portraying theology through the point of view from the other side, specifically from the demon who expresses the point of view of theology to the atheist whom he views as a complete fool, especially with the line, I know more about theology than any human being ever existed. So that was one of the things that I was trying to say earlier about the movie is the fact that you don't have to be a Christian to want to watch this movie or to even get anything out of it, because the whole movie basically is about humanity and where humanity's headed and whether or not humanity's willing to step in and save itself from its own destruction. So I don't know. Only the future will tell, right? About whether or not we decide to step up to the plate and do what we think is right to save humanity from itself. So we'll see whether or not we can do that or not.
Next week, Janet, have you ever seen the movie called Krampus?
Krampus?
Yes.
Mm-mm. Is it a Christmas movie?
It's a Christmas movie. It's a Christmas movie that apparently it's kind of like the Christmas movies like Die Hard is to Christmas movies.
Oh, no, I haven't seen it yet. So I guess I get to see another movie that I haven't seen.
Yep. We just keep on turning over these cards with movies we've not seen yet. That's okay.
Have you seen it?
Nope, never have.
Okay, well, that's good. It's
Well,
fun
a friend of mine said, he's like, did you ever see The Gate? And I'm like, yeah, I just saw it like 3 months ago in October. He's like, 3 months ago in October? Well, like 3 months ago, September, something like that. There's a sequel I need to see. He's like, don't see that. I'm like, okay, fine. I saw The Gate. He's like, the Krampus movie is kind of aimed at kids. but at the same time, adults can appreciate it. I said, I love a good movie like that. And he's like, it's a Christmas movie, Bruce. And I'm like, ugh. Anyway, I'm not going to go back down that rabbit hole, but that's the movie we're watching next week. Like I said, Janet's movie, Krampus with a K, Krampus or whatever it is. Janet rated this movie a 90 out of 100, 9 out of 10. I rated it 85. This is I rate movies low. Okay, first off, I've never rated 100. The best movie I've ever watched is still Big Trouble in Little China.
Oh, and Die Hard.
Die Hard gets a solid 92 from me. That's a fine. That's
so
a fantastic movie.
So what did you rate Big Trouble in Little China?
98%.
Okay.
The reason why is that there's a scene in that movie where they filmed and they probably shouldn't have, because Kurt Russell was sicker than a dog shit, and he's brought in during a rainstorm, and they're trying to have a discussion about Lopan, and they just had the girls taken away from one of the brothels that David Lopan has, and David Lopan's like, no, they're not going to sit in the brothel, they're going to come to me. So he sends lightning, thunder, and wind over there to grab them. And so Kurt Russell failed, and he goes back to lay down on this couch, and he's just pouring sweat, like he was just fucked up. Like, you can tell that's not rainwater coming off of him. That's perspiration in a volume that's not meant to be done with anything. He's supposed to be in bed with like a gallon of water and maybe some lemons and a 2-liter of Sprite next to him, and like no expectations for him to do anything else but make those disappear. I think Big Trouble in Little China is probably the best movie ever made. I think that for the fact that it's got the right casting, it's got a good set direction, the cinematography is great, the music is cheesy and wonderful, and when I say cheesy and wonderful, I mean, like, I love a double cheese pizza. I don't give a shit about what you guys like. I don't care if I have a hard time pooping tomorrow. I love me a good double cheese pizza, and I love my movies cheesy as hell. Big Trouble in Little China satisfies that. Plus, it has solid fight scenes, and you have magic, and you have good special effects, like whenever Lopan and David are there with their pinkies interlocked, and they're trying to make each other's demon or little avatar beat up the other guy's avatar. And after like 3 or 4 sword swings, they quit, and that magic trick ends. But that movie's the most perfect movie in all of movie. Yeah, and yeah, Kurt looks like hammered shit in that scene. He knows exactly what scene I'm talking about. Also, bonus points. You're a fan of Big Trouble in Little China if you've watched the commentary track more than 3 times, because that's good. The other commentary track you want to listen to is the Kurt Russell and John Carpenter scene. John Carpenter watched Escape from New York, because Kurt Russell's there like a bad enabler, just opening beers and feeding John beers throughout the entire commentary. By the end of an hour and 32 minutes, they're both wasted. I mean, it's funny. You hear me say, oh, well, you shouldn't drink a lot of beer. Listen, hold on, kids. These guys are there for a purpose, and they're getting paid to do this. They're not hurting themselves. They're getting in a cab after it's done and over with. They're not endangering America. They were able to detox safely without having to use machinery. Somebody else used machinery and got them home safe. I'm telling you this. I know this. But those two just are good friends, and they had a great time filming or recording their commentaries for The Thing, Big Trouble in Little China, and Escape from New York. Escape from New York is probably the funniest. The one that was most informative for me was Big Trouble in Little China. Anyway, back on this movie here. Watch this movie. It's a good psychological thriller. If you haven't seen it yet, this is where me and Janet give you a present. This is where me and Janet, if Grumpy's still in the chat, go ahead, Grumpy, put it in the link. If not, I'll do it.
What is it? A link?
The Nefarious. The link for Nefarious, because a lot of people still haven't seen this movie, and it is for free.
Yep. In at Rumble, right? That link.
Yes.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah. Let me copy it real quick. Copy text. And you hear me talk as I do this. All right. Escanaba into Moonlight is going to be a December 18th stream. Soy Base Jeremy, which hopefully you'll be there for that. I actually am going to invite you onto the stream with us. Hopefully you don't mind.
Yeah. Join us about the movie.
If you have not seen the movie Nefarious, they put it on Rumble, of all things, and they've got a little bit of stuff beforehand, like maybe 10 minutes of just like filler, but after that, that's the whole movie.
Mm-hmm.
And so that was a presentation. I think it was by the Daily Caller or some other big conservative, quote unquote, conservative media group. Check that out.
It's definitely worth the watching.
Before we adjourn for the night, Janet, is there anything that you wish to tell these people that's going on this week?
No, not really, except that we're going to have the Friday Night Shit Show.
Woohoo!
Friday, and then Saturday we'll be playing our game again. So I'm looking forward to it because I'm going to need it this time. But I'm really sorry if I upset anyone when I got upset and started talking about some of the things that this movie made me think about. But, we don't live in a childlike world anymore. We're grown up and we have to deal with adult things, and it's not always good.
Janet, I love you to pieces. You're one of my best friends, and I feel I can talk to you on a level that a lot of other people probably can't. But it does me some good to have you as a good friend, because you do try to see the world from a child's perspective. You do try to be, naive as long as you can on things. I'll try to caution my friends not to introduce you to any new no words, because the last thing I want you to do is talk to your sisters about, hey, the guys explained to me what bukkake was. Oh, God.
Well, I have told one of my sisters about it already.
Yeah.
And she'd never heard of it either, so a lot of sisters probably don't know what it means either. So, I'll feel so bad because there are people out there that don't have no idea what that means.
And I'm happy about that, because it's just something I don't want to think about that often. Like, every day people find out the wrong way what bukkake means. And I just, no, don't Bing that. Don't Google that. You're better off. Don't do that. Like, there's other things for you to spend your time on. Learning GIMP or Photoshop is one of those things you could do and better yourself.
Get a puppy.
Yeah, or get a dog. Janet's got a. If you live in the southwestern, or not southwest, if you
No, I
live
don't have a dog
in,
anymore. I got a home for it.
You found a home for that pup?
Yes.
Okay.
So, and she seems very happy. She has other dogs to play with and stuff. So,
okay, good deal. I was going to be like, hey, if you guys are in the southern Great Plains, contact
and
Janet.
I got a rooster too. So I got a rooster, and I got that dog. Got rid of that dog. So see, things do happen. Good things. We just gotta hold on long enough.
Shh, y'all playing on a big screen. That is a problem. I should probably have a disclaimer from now on at the start. You are entering a chat discussion with Bruce Lombardo of the Dix Division. Tonight, special guest is Janet from another planet. During tonight, I do request you do not have me on any main screens in your house. If you have small children or the easily offended, please put them in a safe location away from where the sound could travel, or put your grandmother.
And don't Google everything they tell you.
Yeah. Don't Google everything we tell you, and don't let your kids show you the things that we tell you not to Google. Also, if you have kids that are wanting to be influencers, which apparently that's the new thing. As much as it pains me to say this, let me just say this, and this may help your household. And I'm being serious. I want you to tell your kid, fine, you want to be good at being an influencer, learn how to edit, and then talk to your friends who do videos, not live streams, videos, actual videos that suck at editing, and be like, you know what? My little sperm collection over there, the clump of cells that never fails to make me raise my blood pressure, they need to have something that will help further their life, and they want to be an influencer. She listens to you because I listen to you, or we are all in the same panel together. And she wants to do editing. I want her to edit your videos. And you're like, oh, shit. Yeah, now's the time for you to clean your act up. Anyway, offer your kids, if your kids are saying, I want to be an influencer, you have a friend or you have a family member that they do videos.
No, don't do it.
I would prefer them not to do it, but if they're going to do it, have them learn how to be an editor first, because the editing is the first step along the way. Then whenever they start doing the thumbnail editing, that's when they'll really start to shine. And by that time, they should be in high school, and their life path should be more angled toward what they want to do. I don't recommend being an influencer, but you know what I mean. I would prefer them to have a trade skill, but that's just me. Okay. Good night, Jackie Blue. Thank you for being here. This explains so much about soy base.
I'm not looking it up.
No, don't. All right, guys. It's been 2 hours and almost 50 minutes. My name is Bruce Lombardo. My friend, my co-pilot over here, Miss Janet from Another Planet. She's doing a very important show on Friday night. Come see us. We're doing the Friday night show. Yeah. It'll be fun. Be happy to have you there. We will be dual streaming on both YouTube and Rumble, because I'm committing to Rumble fully. They've just been treating me nice. They've been doing things really well, and I appreciate them. Six Nation had a blast tonight hanging out with all chat. Was lively and fun too. Good way to end a Monday. Good way to start the week, I hope. Everybody, thank you so much. And we will see you next week.
Boys and girls all over the world are being abused and tortured.
The worst moments of these children's lives, they're being videotaped, and they're being shared with other offenders all over the world.
Many people would refer to this as CSAM, child sexual abuse material.
They are suffering, and they don't think that anyone is coming to help them. But we can. We can build that army, and we can go get them.
Come be a part of this team that is trying to push back this evil.